Well, now you know. You realise
That's a good way of starting.
liable to start the programme.
We apologise in advance for anybody having their tea that have got to look at us.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
Some of us.
Hello, good evening and welcome. Isn't that what a famous person used to say?
Yeah, but he's dead now, so you can say what you want.
Oh, okay, so you can't sue me then.
Can't sue you for
You can't sue me, that's good. Welcome along everyone, it is Forty20 Live, we are back. I am back after 2 weeks off, yes. I know a lot of people have missed me. Not all in a positive light, I've got to be honest, but I'm back. I didn't see the Rugby League at the weekend, not England, I was watching Wales and Ireland. Well done to Wales qualifying for the World Cup. Well done to them. Well done to Rhys Williams, joint now record Welsh cap holder and record try scorer. What the hell happened at Elland Road? I'll be asking the boys. I want your opinion on that one. And as Danny Maguire has announced his last season is going to be next season in Super League, I want to know who your Super League player is that's been the best Super League player for your club. Let us know. Would it be Danny Maguire at Leeds? Would it be Kevin Sinfield? I guess at Leeds there's quite a few to choose from. Let us know on Twitter at Forty20 Live. Schoey has brought some props to the show today because he's been offending all the big names in Australia. His mate Mal Meninga is now no longer Gary Schofield's mate. That's another one add on to the list. The mouth from the north is with us live here in the studio. And following on from your Jimmy Tarbuck revelation, we've got probably the most unique item we've ever had on the table attack. Richard Shawright, explain yourself.
So you remember Bullseye was like darts and everyone loved it and you thought it was a great idea. So like the BBC ripped it off with Big Break, which was Bullseye with snooker. And so I thought, well, Big Break's successful, so what we'll do is we'll take another old comedian and turn a sport into a game show. So they gave Jimmy Tarbuck, of course famous for going golfing with Brucey and Kenny and all those people. And they gave him Full Swing, which lasted 8 episodes. It was crap. No one remembers it. And yet we've got the trophy. This is the trophy.
This is better than the Baskerville Shield.
Wow.
Hey Gary, do you want to hold it, son? Do you want to hold it, Gary? We've got a trophy. Do you want to have it? Oh no, just walk past it. Just walk past it.
I'm just looking at you, Fee. This is a wind up, isn't it? This is a wind up bit. This is a wind up. If you think that you Fee are going to present that to me, I'll tell you what you got.
Oh, I'm keeping that. So that cost me £1.99. That's top quality merchandise.
That's good. I like it. I like it. We'll get that on the Antiques Roadshow. You know what this is worth? Yeah, sod all. Well, we've got to start with the rugby. Hello everyone at home, hello on YouTube. Please like, share, retweet, do whatever you need to do. Let people know we're here. Lots of you downloading the podcast, we do appreciate that. We've been hitting quite a few milestones recently on that front, so really thank you to everyone that joins us on the podcast. You were there yesterday, you three. I'll ask you last, Scott, because I think you were boozed up from what I understand. But Phil... the good, the indifferent and the ugly.
The series caught up with England. By the end they looked a tired team. Everything that had gone for them in the first 2 tests didn't quite go for them. They had 3 tries disallowed. Certainly 2 of them, absolutely no question, they did deserve to be there. There was a bit of a question mark over the obstruction one, which would have given them the lead. And I think we talked a lot about squad depth going into this, and I think the injuries that they had and the suspension they had to George Burgess, they were just getting to that part of the squad where it's not quite as a level as the top 17, 18. And we shouldn't forget that the Kiwis are actually a very good team. I think they were written off because they'd lost the series. There was nothing in the first 2 tests. Statistically, actually, they were probably ahead in both of them, and they had one of those afternoons where everything stuck. I don't think they were 34 points better than England. Their scrambling defence was really good to make sure that England didn't score. But by the end, I think even Richard was saying it was waiting for the press conferences, it was the end of what has been a very, very, very long season for a lot of the England players and staff, and it felt a bit like that at the end.
Well, enjoy your 5 weeks off because you'll be back at Edinburgh.
It's not 5 weeks.
Not 5
weeks. I mean, the Aussie schoolboys are here. They've got 5 games. They finish on the 14th of December.
Right.
And then we've got a whole 12 days until the new season kicks off.
Beautiful. What do you make of it?
I don't think I can be bothered with Boxing Day, to be honest.
But the new
first silverware of the season, and you're poo-pooing it. This is a year for Wakefield. You keep telling me this is a year for Wakefield.
I might be banned from Leeds.
You love the Weatherby Whaler trophy.
He loves the Weatherby Whaler. He don't give a damn about the trophy.
They've taken over the chippy in my village as well. It's very exciting. It just felt a bit flat.
There's 30,000 people there.
Well, yeah, I mean, God knows if we have not been negative these last few months, there could have been 150,000 there. This will sound odd because the commemorations before the game were very, very good.
Yes. Well done to the RFL. By the way, for a show that we're always saying to be negative, I think the RFL media output has gone up a level this last couple of weeks. And I mean the social media, the videos, the access to the players. So I want to commend them on that.
We'll come to that in a minute.
All right, go on
We'll
then.
come to that later.
That sounded threatening.
The World War One thing we should come back to because
Yes.
I think that was exceptional.
It just felt, because the game kicked off 10 minutes late, why they didn't build that in earlier, I don't know, because then everyone is sat around in the cold for longer. But it felt, by the time we got to kick off, any atmosphere that had built up before had gone away. And I understand the reasons why, but it felt like it went on for a long time. Not helped by the fact that then New Zealand score early, England don't score at all, we didn't look very good. Cody Nikarima, he should have been the man of the series. I voted for him, but no one came to get my vote because I was upstairs in the gantry. But his
controversy.
Sorry, Cody.
Controversy.
His try and interplay with Sean Johnson on that try was wonderful. The kind of thing you go to watch rugby league to watch. It's just a shame England didn't really turn up for the 30,000 people who bought tickets.
I must say, you mentioned atmosphere. I thought it was really good, but I get it. The atmosphere is where you are in the stadium, and there was a very unfortunate incident on the Kop, which obviously affected the atmosphere in that part of the ground. But I thought when England were 22-0 down, the crowd were as loud as I'd heard them during the series. They really got behind the team.
I mean, the atmosphere at Hull was awful, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Anfield, it was very good as the game went on. I just thought the crowd really came into their own, even though the team weren't going to win. Which we hadn't seen, and then obviously they started the Mexican wave because they knew we weren't going to win. But it was never a great.
What was it like from the hazy view of the corporate boxes, Guinness, lager, bit of wine, gin and tonics? I mean, yeah, you are our own Alan Brazil. How was it over there? Do you remember? Did you even see the game?
Well, listen, to be honest with you, I can't suck the wine because I suffer with gout, but. The Guinness was okay, and it was a brilliant afternoon with the lads.
I'll take it was free then, because I heard you moan about it.
I just want to say to Yanni, thanks very much for his company, YKBS, so thanks for that. And yeah, great. He's a big Leeds fan, big Rugby Leagues fan. He does a hell of a lot for the Leeds Rugby League Ex-Players Association, good sponsor. But as far as history went, I thought the atmosphere was good. I thought the build-up was excellent. I thought the atmosphere throughout the ground for the whole game, if I'm honest, was excellent. I know, because some of the lads said, "Scoy, what do it Mexican way for?" Because unfortunately, because we're getting beaten and it's not very good. That's what the Mexican way was. But I thought the atmosphere was brilliant. 32,000 from there, and the performance as a whole. Well, as Wayne Bennett has said all along in this Test series, and certainly the reason why we won the first two tests was simple. We did the good things for longer periods of what New Zealand did for, and that's what Maguire will be disappointed with the Kiwis because. When the New Zealand can play for longer periods, you just saw with the ball what they can do. And Nikarima and Johnson yesterday, I was worried about them too for the start of the series with the way they played against Australia. But they didn't bring their A game in the first two games. They brought it yesterday, and the scoreline reflected the game. And I'll totally agree with Phil. When you look at our strength in depth, we know we've got the Knights coming through. They with the top head of Papua New Guinea. But if you look at that Knights side, you would say how many's ready for Test football. So when our top players, when you look at 18 to 20 players, if we do get a couple of injuries, maybe suspensions, then we may struggle. But overall, it's been a massive success. England deserve this Test series. New Zealand got the credibility back. And as I say now, England and New Zealand, 1 and 2 in the world. Australia, you're lagging behind. We'll come
to that. Don't worry.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Don't worry about that.
He's sobering up.
Yeah, he's coming round now. Someone get him a can of special. Where's that can of Stones bitter? Give him that. That'll quiet me down.
I sucked that last week. You want me?
Can I ask you about? You've been a tourist. Of our 46 Great Britain caps. Well, obviously, you have been abroad. Have New Zealand got better as the series has gone on because they've been used to being together? And is this more a call if they'd have had a couple of games maybe in between or maybe before? I know they played Australia, but if they'd have had a game here against someone here before the test, would that help them?
Yeah, it would do. Yeah, there's no doubt about it, Mark. And they're saying, when you're on top. But having said that, all these players themselves, they play a lot with the Warriors, so they know each other pretty well. That sort of thing. So the team bonding's already there as far as that goes. But yeah, you're on tour every day. You're training every day from there, and yeah, it does bring that. But I just felt as though England, with it not being their best side from there, the Kiwis, they were hot, they brought their A game, and the scoreline reflected the game. Simple as that.
England had 10 out that would normally have been in that starting 17, either through long-term injury or weren't available, having played already in this series. So I think, the fact that they played so well in those first 2 tests and won the trophy is the big positive. I don't think Wayne Bennett was too down on these guys. But I think Michael Maguire was great, because not only did he credit England for teaching New Zealand how to play Test match rugby in those first 2 tests, but he also said again that all of the best thing for his side was being together. And that the longer they were together and the more they were together and the more they realised that England had shown them that you had to play right to the last minute, you couldn't take anything for granted in Test match football. I think that was a compliment to England, but he now goes back saying, look at the potential we've got. That's a relatively young Kiwi side. There's some senior guys in there, but the bulk of that team, particularly in the backs, is young. There's a lot to be excited about. And what it has done, the whole series and the World Cup qualifiers and the 2 games before the Kiwis came over here involving Tonga and Australia, everybody's talking about international rugby league.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that's
biggest thing that's come out.
I agree with that. But just a quick one. Good evening to Jim Mills, obviously legend of the game. He was at Wales just there. Saw him looking well, big Jim. He was there with Kel Coslett. They were getting interviewed on the telly. So good evening to you, Jim. Go on, Scotty. Sorry, you were going to say about international rugby.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Phil and Mark and Rich as well, we also be talking about international rugby league. Not just because we've had a good test here. We should be talking about international rugby league all along. When you look at all the other sports, and I'll talk about that when I get ripped into the Kangaroos. When you're talking about international sport, every other sportsman, whether it's cricket, whether it's football or netball or whatever, all want to play international sport at that level. And for whatever sport they play with. So for us to get excited now because we won a Test series, it's absolutely not good enough. We should be talking about it all the time.
We get excited every autumn because we get reinvigorated after a long season by international rugby league and what that brings. What we don't do is then take that into the following season, and make the right windows for international rugby. Now, there's been an element of that at this RLIF Congress last week. There is a rolling calendar. It's still not nailed on. If you actually read the communique, it's we're hoping to, and we need further negotiation with, and we're planning to. Somebody needs to just nail this blancmange to the wall.
I've asked this question before, right? I've got 2 questions about all this. One, do we need to replicate the NRL? As in, if we match their calendar, can we then say, right, there are gaps there, and there, or when you're playing State of Origin, if you basically had a 2-week period with no games, we could come over there, or someone could come over here, and we could have a couple of, and everyone can get a game in.
Yeah.
So do we need to look at that? And the big one I've got, and we know that Chairman of Super League Club listen to watch this show because they ring us up quite regularly to pick us up on certain things, is are they the people that are holding the international calendar back here? Because we always say too many games. Yeah, too many games. Now, if we got rid of loop fixtures, we shorten the season by 5 weeks, that's 5 weeks we can fit other things in. And just... I think now that the people that say they want the best for the game, we saw yesterday 30,000 people, or 30,000 people at Elland Road. If you announce tomorrow that Mal Meninga comes on the tag, goes, right, Schofield, I'm coming, get ready, I'm going to be there, I'll see you down Belle Isle Kebab Shop on Monday night, I'll be here.
I've got his cheeks.
Yeah. Well, no, you said, if he said he were coming now, and you said, right, we're going to Newcastle, we're going to Anfield, we're going to Elland Road, I reckon you would sell those grounds out on the fact that they're coming.
But here's the thing. The New Zealand Tests have been the first time the England team has been at home for 2 years.
Yeah.
The international calendar that's been agreed, we won't be seeing international rugby league at home for another 2 years. That is why it doesn't work.
Well, that's why we need to
say... So even where it's
then.
too many... There was a notional conversation... talking about branding. How do you elevate Super League, which now seems to be an inferior product to the international game in terms of its reach to people that don't normally watch Super League? How do you perhaps rebrand Rugby League to capitalise on the internationals? I'm bringing your point of the NRL and Super League should be aligned in terms of fixtures and the number of fixtures, and the season should start with the World Club Challenge and then you go off into your respective competition. Well, why not call this competition over here NRL North.
Don't know.
So that the game is no longer Super League or Rugby League, it's NRL. Everything's done by
National
acronym these days.
Yeah.
So it's National Rugby League, it's national whether you're in Australia, it's national whether you're in here, it's national whether you're in Jamaica. So the whole of the game is rebranded NRL.
Yeah.
And the seasons align. And when Origin is played, which it still should be in Australia because they've got most of the players who play at the highest standard, every other player is made available to their national team.
Yeah, that's why. If you make it a 2-week window, rather
Absolutely.
than saying, well, actually, we want you to play in State of Origin, then you've got to double up on the weekend.
Michael Maguire yesterday, looking forward to the fixtures that he's got, and there's a hell of a lot more happening in the Southern Hemisphere than there is in the Northern
We've got to
Hemisphere.
make sure we don't get left behind here, haven't we?
He's already talking about, while Origin is on, New Zealand will play Tonga.
Yeah.
And he's saying on a standalone weekend in a full stadium, we know what those two passionate sets of fans will be like. That'll be a 40, 50,000 sellout in New Zealand. He's already building up to that game.
Yeah.
And he's saying it's a standalone weekend, so all his players will be available. The cultural things they can do alongside it will make it a massive event. We need to be replicating that here.
Well, I'm looking at that and that idea, and this is where international rugby league has got to start earning some money for the game. Because if you were New Zealand were quite happy to go to Denver for $500,000 or whatever it was that they never got paid. Right now, I don't know what the gate receipts were yesterday. We never get to hear what the gate receipts are at RFL games. I think that is a weakness. We should be proud of the money that we generate and aim to make it bigger and bigger and bigger. If you were to say Tonga are going to play New Zealand at Newcastle, where we use that because it's a 50-odd thousand, it could be at the Etihad, 50-odd thousand people at the Etihad. It's going to be a double bill. England are going to take on Papua New Guinea, whatever. It doesn't matter who it is. That would generate a lot of money in income, whereby you could say to those guys, right, we want you to come to us, we'll pay the money. And I think this is where we need to. The Aussies think they've got enough money because they've got this brilliant TV deal, and they think, we don't need them. There will come a point where they'll need us more than we need them. But I think we've got to pluck round the edges and say to Tonga, right, your rugby league federation ain't got any money. We'll give you some money.
But
if
the
you come over here.
NRL clubs have got to release their players if we do that.
Well,
and
but
that's
what
the
I'm
issue,
saying.
isn't
If
it?
it's a
What's the
2-week window,
sanction on not releasing your players?
Well, these are things
somebody
we need
needs
to
to
look at.
pick up the reins with that. Yeah, I mean, you saw Wales qualify, become the 10th nation to qualify for the World Cup yesterday. They were lauding the fact that they can now plan for the next 3 years, but they technically haven't got a fixture next year.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. They've got a young team. They were denied some of their Super League stars, which is an issue in itself. So John Keir, as John Keir can and does, built a fabulous team spirit out of it, a load of young players that are coming through a great pathway system that he's instilled in them the love of the shirt.
Yeah.
So he needs now for this group to play again as soon as they can, and they need to test themselves as often as they can leading up to 2021 and the World Cup. And actually, he hasn't technically got a fixture next year.
Yeah, I get that, and I had a word with John about that off air, and I'll keep that conversation off air. But the problem is that because the fixtures, if they did have it, they're not seen to be meaningful. Then people go, a bit of an hamstring, John. I need an operation, John. If it's World Cup, yeah, I've got a bad shoulder, but I should be able to manage a couple of games, get me in, and we need to make it more meaningful, Scoey. I'm sure every time you played for England, Great Britain, it meant the world to you. But I think to some of these guys, it doesn't necessarily mean that. We need to get that back, don't we?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, if your country comes calling, I'm afraid to say, I'm in and available. It's like the two St Helens players. The two St Helens players, I'm told, on very, very good authority, they were told they cannot play for Wales in this
because
it'll jeopardise the first team places. Well, how pathetic is that?
Well, let me just say I have heard similar from not from
a
Wales.
reputable source.
From a reputable source.
The two players, as we know, Regan Grace and Knowles at St Helens, they wanted to play for Wales.
Yeah.
But they were told by the head coach, by the way, Holbrook. He told
name you'll be deleting from your phone.
He said to them, if you two play in this competition, then your place at St Helens next year will be in jeopardy. Well, how pathetic is that?
What I will say, by the way, I know I've got a few listeners on about Wales. We'll come to your social media. Keep it coming at 4020 Live. You get in touch on YouTube, you get in touch on Facebook. John Keir was glowing in praise for the Halifax players. Richard Marshall. He said those players he has got have come on so much under Richard Marshall. He said their attitude at training is first class. The things they do are first class. He just says they have been so well coached. they've come on at elite. Dan Fleming, I've watched him last 2 weeks. I'm not banging on. I don't want to talk about England and that quality, and it shows coaches can make players better, can't they? I don't know what you think,
but give them the environment to thrive in.
Yeah,
and I think again coming into that international jersey where John, Richard Marshall gives you base level, gives you good habits, teaches you how to play the game, and then you go on under another coach for maybe 2 or 3 weeks who changes your game a little because you're not familiar with the guys that you're playing with, wants you to perhaps play a slightly different structure, you're playing a different level of opposition. I think all of that is what makes you the player that you are, and we've got to expose more players to this. The one thing that I think that was mildly disappointing, it's great that we're talking about the international calendar, it's great that the RLIF are endorsing it, it's good that the NRL and Super League were in those meetings and International Rugby League was on the agenda. But what we needed was a set of fixtures and dates and times. We needed, Scotland are playing Wales in a meaningful game at this time, and England are playing Tonga, and but we didn't get that. It's all still, we hope to have it finalised by Christmas. Come on, International Rugby League's the way to go. What is going to sell this sport?
Yeah, it is. It's what's going to sell it is what we've just seen.
Yeah.
When did we last get 30,000 in a neutral ground for one game? For
one game against New Zealand, that is the highest crowd since 1951.
Yeah. So instantly now, like I said, but this we're only, if we had a game, we should be now going, right, we're going at this.
Well, I think again, it was ridiculous that Wales and Ireland were playing at the same time because they were both meaningful games. And actually, if you're talking about how meaningful they were, the Wales game was more meaningful because World Cup qualification was at stake. But 1,500 people turned up, which again is not to be sneezed at in Wrexham. But I suspect that they turned up because it was a really meaningful game. So if that was played on the Friday night and neutrals could go and invest in the fact that it's World Cup and the World Cup's going to be here, I reckon they'd have probably got maybe double that.
Yeah. No, it was good.
It
was good. It was good.
Have we ever played enough internationals? How old were you, Scoey, when you got your last cap?
94, so 29.
29. Steph Houghton, the England women's football captain, who just reached 100 caps at the age of 30.
Yeah.
He must be playing a hell of a lot of games.
Yeah. Isn't Rooney getting his 120th or something?
No, we don't want to talk about that again. But we've never played enough games. We need more international rugby league.
But then they've gone the other way, and that people got turned off with international friendlies, and they had to bring in the...
Yeah, they had to make it more meaningful.
Yes.
Yeah, but...
So we're not at that stage yet.
And the other thing we had, and has been proven again in this series, and people won't want to hear this, but it's true, we've been banging on, you certainly said it, Mark, over the last few years, we need to take these games to big stadia, because the biggest crowds of this series have come at Anfield and Elland Road, not Hull, not a traditional rugby league ground.
Yeah.
Because, and people think, oh, Anfield, it's not a great stadium or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but there's a lot of history attached to it, and you will attract people to go.
You need...
different. Why aren't we in London?
Well, if the calendar is set now that the Lions, whatever that means, again, we've had the debate about how do you get Ireland, Wales and Scotland players up to a level where they genuinely can contribute something to the Lions and be given that opportunity to, and they should be. But let's say the Lions do go down under next year, and whether they play Australia or not, who cares? It's Australia's loss. Be a fabulous tour for the players if they're going to PNG, Tonga, New Zealand, Fiji. So we're going down that. We already know then, if that's agreed, that the Kangaroos are coming here in 2020. So I'm assuming tomorrow tickets go on sale for those games.
Well, this is what
because
we need to do.
if you're really serious about international rugby league, the Rugby Union World Cup, you could buy tickets in Japan because you knew what the fixtures were and the dates and the times 3 years before. And I think it's brilliant that the 2021 World Cup are going to announce their fixtures 2 years ahead. That's come out today. That was it the 29th of November next year. We'll get all the fixtures and the groups and everything. But if we know we are playing Australia, who we haven't seen on these shores for so long, Scoey's called them out, brilliant, generated more publicity than anything else.
Yeah.
Let's get these tickets on sale tomorrow. Let's ring up Arsenal.
Agreed.
Yeah, let's ring up Liverpool. Let's ring up Newcastle.
You need to make it an event.
And the football fixtures for 2020 aren't out yet. So if we get in first and Arsenal agree to host us and Newcastle do and Liverpool do, they can request not being at home at those. Let's do it now.
That's the one thing. And we go back to the first couple of test matches we've been to, and then yesterday, and I went, and my niece and nephews went for the first time they beat Elland Road. it wasn't enough of an event in terms of there's very little to do outside the ground, provided by the RFL. I know there's the man van there, which is great, and they loved having their photo taken with the old trophies and whatever.
You didn't get an haircut though, did you?
No, I didn't this week. Too busy
Stuffy sauce.
Free as well.
up in McDonald's. But apart from that, there wasn't much to do around the ground. You need more things to get people involved. But, lest we forget, wrong phrase to use at this time of year, but 3 years ago, the Rugby Union World Cup held 2 games at Elland Road over a weekend, both sold out. So we're all right backslapping and everything, and I know there's people who want praise on Twitter all the time.
And just for the record, was it Scotland and USA?
And USA and Italy, Tonga.
So it wasn't
tier 1 games.
Yeah.
So, and I know people will have gone to that because it's an event, which is what we're saying, and what the people who are running the World Cup in 2021 are saying. They're saying an event. It's not just aimed at us.
If you are a rugby union fan, or even a fan of events, not even necessarily rugby union, you know now, irrespective of who the opposition might be, that there'll be 4 autumn internationals and a Six Nations. So if you want to get a ticket, and if it's the All Blacks or it's Australia or it's Japan or it doesn't matter.
Sold out against Japan.
It doesn't
next
matter.
Week.
Exactly.
You'll
it
still not
doesn't
be able to
matter.
get a ticket.
But you know in advance. Like Wimbledon, people don't decide to go on Wimbledon. They book a year in advance.
In 2012, I got tickets in the ballot for the football at the Olympics in Newcastle. It just happened to be, it was Brazil I got to see, which is great. But I just wanted to get tickets to go to the Olympics. We've got to sell the event to more people than just ourselves, and there's something else to go on to that. Which
all right. Well, I think that's for another day.
You played a World Cup final in front of 72,000 fans. They weren't all rugby league fans. They wanted to be at a World Cup final.
71,000 of them didn't like Scoey though.
Well, they knew that when they left. Yeah.
I suppose.
It was John Deverell, wasn't it?
Yeah, rugby union. Yeah. Hey, do you know what as well? I don't know because I'm watching the rugby union game as well, England and New Zealand.
That's why you're not feeling well.
And I'm sure when Eddie Jones was sat, unless he must have a double or a twin. Certainly they look like. I'm sure Craig Bellamy was just sat in front of.
Yeah, Craig Bellamy was
here.
He was here this weekend.
Yeah, well he was sat just in front of Eddie Jones. I'm thinking, well, Eddie Jones has got about 27 on his coaching staff, backroom staff. Surely Bellamy's not helping out there, is he?
No, he's probably just part of the entourage that wanted to see if he could pick up any.
Well, was Craig Bellamy at the game yesterday?
Yes, I think he was. I don't know if he's been here this week. He's been.
Yeah, I saw him on television reunion, but was he at the game yesterday? Do we know?
Not sure. You would have had access to the
not,
celebrity area.
If not, it should have been, shouldn't it? Surely.
I think they're on the way. Are they on their way to America? Because they've got some link up with an American football team.
Who, the Storm have?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Right.
But there's been a lot of them here.
Right.
Everyone's here. Everyone wants to know when the Magic Weekend's going to be announced. I understand it's going
Sources
to be announced.
suggest
It's going to be announced very soon.
This week.
Very soon this week.
But don't book Newcastle. Is that what we're saying?
Not today, maybe not Wednesday, somewhere in between.
Is it at the same time as the Brian McDermott press conference?
Possibly.
Didn't even mention that.
And the Liverpool half marathon sort of bugger off, just give it away. Mind you, I generally don't know where it is, but we understand it's Anfield, don't we? So
yeah.
We also understand that the double-header semi-finals for the Challenge Cup will not be in Newcastle.
Right, okay.
So I'm get on to Michael Carter.
Do we know where theirs might be?
No, but we think that it may have been a bit premature mentioning Newcastle.
I can't remember who said that.
Oh well.
Toby says the Lions story is a wasted effort, not enough effort to make North versus South Test matches. Where's Lebanon versus Ireland, Wales, Papua New Guinea, Scotland versus Samoa, France versus Fiji, etc.
I've gone that Rome isn't built in a day. I think this is the closest we've been up to stepping up the ladder a notch here. So let's not get too far ahead. I agree, we can't forget about these teams, and that's how, when we say about players not being available, if you say to 2 young lads at St Helens, well, come on, we're off to Australia to play whoever, they're going to want to go, aren't they?
What we need to do, firstly we need to be aware of the fact that we haven't suddenly got a huge money tree. And these internationals do cost. If you're flying entourages around the world, it isn't cheap. So, is there anybody out there that would like to sponsor our international competitions? Well,
this series wasn't sponsored, was it?
No, but
the post pants were.
Despite the fact, and I'm not making it a BBC thing, huge audience on the BBC. We need to learn.
Yes,
and I'm sure Rob Elston and the powers that be No, but around the
Yeah.
sport will be looking at how
Yes.
we turn that into money.
But what we're looking at in the Southern Hemisphere at the moment is this creation of a two-tier Oceania Cup, which will be played every alternate year. So you'll have the World Cup every 4 years, and these Confederations Cups will be every 2 years. We need to build something over here that is going to match that. And it's all right saying, oh, it'll be the European Championship. Well, who's going to be playing in the Euro? Will England play in the European Championship? Which England? Will the England Knights play in the European Championship? Does that not give them the level of experience they get going to places like Papua New Guinea? What is our long-term plan for America, Canada, Jamaica and Chile, who are playing tomorrow in the next set of World Cup qualifiers? Should they be playing Wales and Scotland and Ireland? You'd think USA against Ireland, you could stage that in Philadelphia and there'd be a resonance, even if people didn't really appreciate it was rugby league. We need to look at the other half of the world and what can we do at the same time as the Pacific nations are playing that will give our players experience and keep the cost down. And, France Fiji is a lovely idea, but it's not going to happen in the current economic climate. But is there any reason why we couldn't fly Wales and Ireland over to play play America and Canada and do it as two double-headed fixtures over a week?
Yeah, I don't know.
A couple of things about the internationals. Nige says we need to get rid of the ridiculous Easter fixtures. Why not use that weekend as an international break? Let's get on to the owners of St Helens, Wigan, Hull and Hull FC and Hull KR and see what they think about that. And Victor says, when I scroll back up my screen, video referees, to paraphrase his tweet, did they ruin the game yesterday? Do we look for too much with the video referee?
There was only one contentious one, really. That was the so-called, it was obstruction try. I don't think any New Zealand defender was impeded in any way whatsoever. They did make too much of a big deal of waving their arms about that they couldn't get to the tackle, but that was the only contentious one for me, really. And obviously, being an Englishman, they got it completely wrong. But it was an English video referee.
GLR Clark, who's obviously named after a radio station in London from the 80s, says, why GB now? We need to carry on England momentum, plus Scotland and Ireland will be focused on World Cup qualifiers. Who's going to play for Great Britain from the Celtic nations? Wait for 2023, plus, of course, as we've forgotten, a World Cup nines to fit in. The nines are back again.
Who's going to play in that? I mean, I don't mean nationwide.
Probably like the Carnegie now.
But which players? Every player is playing in international rugby league at that time. We're now getting this calendar, so the Lions are on tour. Are they going to stop off and play in the nines competition, or
I don't know.
Is somebody like Tom Johnson going to be specifically held back for the nines because he's fast?
Got some breaking news.
Yeah.
Adam Lawton signed for Salford.
Ah, right, okay.
It's not getting very good, this breaking news these days.
Who knew?
Do you remember when you saw proper news? GLR's also asked, when are the fixtures for Bristol out? Come on! It's positive programme now. You don't get the memo.
We've been asked, where did you get your tracks
Where do you think I got it from?
Is it yours?
Yeah.
Where do you get it from? The pound shop?
I got it from eBay, didn't I?
Whose is it?
You'd have worn one of those, wouldn't you?
Is it an official?
Yeah.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah,
It doesn't fit me.
I think that was about 1990.
You bought it and it don't fit you.
Well,
It's when shell suits were in.
I think it's about 1990 when we had that gear.
Yeah.
As we're all me and Phil. I'm pretty jaded at the minute for reasons we'll come to later. But me and Phil went to this thing on Friday to see the fully restored, beautiful Paul Barriere Trophy or Cup. No one's quite sure what it's called officially. And I was excited again about rugby, and then yesterday happened. It was all that. But the World Cup, if you haven't seen it yet, there's the video we've done. It's on Facebook and YouTube. Kevin Sinfield's on it as well. And
on the World Cup?
Yeah, he looks longingly at the World Cup. I didn't even ask him to do it. Great, knows what he's doing. That Sinfield fella. It looks lovely. We do have, as someone pointed out on Twitter, we do have lots of great trophies in rugby league.
The one thing about that event was it showed us what we could do. I think Richard and I said to each other after...
Well, let's tell listeners, because some listeners might not know what it was. What is it? You've been invited on Friday. Where have you been invited?
There was a media briefing in the centre of Leeds, but also they turned it into an event by re-unveiling the World Cup. There's been one piece missing of the World Cup, and that was the cockerel that originally was on the top. And they didn't just have it made and stuck it on and said, we've done that. They did it so that we felt like we were a big sport. They did the whole story behind the cup originally being stolen and pictures of it without this famous cockerel. They did the manufacturing of the cockerel at Fattorini's, who were
In Bradford?
world renowned.
From Bradford.
Yeah, I think it was their Birmingham factory. But yeah, originally they built.
Well, having been sold from Bradford once, they didn't want to take.
Whoa! What are you saying? What are you saying
Midland
about my good
Hotel.
city?
But they
If
then,
it's not nailed down,
Well,
it'll
it
get
wasn't, that's the
nicked.
problem.
and that's exactly what happened.
Has it got some bottles in bottom?
It was on a table in a pub and it went. But the way they manufactured a show, we talk about events, they created for 10 minutes a spellbinding event because they got an illusionist who did a small show which actually put the cockerel back on the trophy and made the trophy appear out of nothing. And it's all on social media. They put a GPS tracker in the trophy, which is clever on two counts. Because one is we won't lose it again because we'll know where it is. The other thing is you can now go on a website and track where the trophy is, and it's going to go on tour, which is brilliant. They also
You'll see it going down
Yeah.
Belle Isle.
but they'll
We
know.
lost the signal, lads.
You won't get it back because they'll get rid of the tracker quickly. Don't worry about that. You won't get it back when it comes through Belial. I can reassure you. Might get halfway down Belial Road.
Does it work when it's been melted down? This track?
But it was an event, and it felt big, and it was different, and the social media that went out on the back of it was highly acclaimed because it wasn't just here's a trophy and these are some fixtures we're going to have. It was they made it into something that you felt as though rugby league could hold its own in alongside other sports.
And there was a great promotional video to go alongside the whole about the tournament itself, and it was very well put together because it didn't play up to any stereotypes of the North. I don't know if there was any Northern voices on there, despite the fact most of the tournament will be held here for reasons of government funding, which is also positive. But I'm a cynical person. I came out there having not had much sleep the night before, thinking, "This is ace. The
It's
World
big.
Cup's coming.
It's
3
big.
years. I've got to wait for it now." But it's exciting.
It's all right.
And
3 years to buy some more tap to wear when you go to the games.
And we're going to have the women's and the wheelchair events concurrent. There might be double headers of the men's and women's games, which is great. It's going to be on the telly, proper telly.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Right.
Right. Well, do you want to do
Too much-
anything
No.
Too much positivity.
I think that's great. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh,
So
right,
you
yeah,
enjoyed it. You both enjoyed it.
Yeah, we've got some.
Well-
I had vegetarian sausage sandwiches. Never had those before. They were good.
I'll go anywhere for a breakfast.
It's getting weird, isn't it, Rich? Have you noticed?
It's been a long season.
It's
hasn't it?
getting
It's been a
very
long
strange.
season.
Well, yeah, because
So it's like he's lost some weight.
He's struggling.
I haven't. It's just an old T-shirt.
Yeah, he's had a shirt.
Has he?
No.
Anyway, right. The thing that made me laugh last week wasn't the World Cup trophy. No. It was Mal Meninga coming out and calling our mate the mouth from the north. Said you're a joke, basically, Scoy, which, all right.
And he likes you.
And he's your friend. So, you called him out. You've got to be disappointed we lost to New Zealand because has that harmed your argument that
No.
the Aussies are running scared?
Not one little bit. Not one little bit. I said we won the Test Series 2-1 yesterday. You know the Kiwis were red hot. We had a couple of players out, but I certainly now our best 20 players can beat the Kiwis and can certainly beat the Kangaroos. There's no two ways about that. And what Mal said last week, you know, and the three things what he said, the Mal for the North, don't have an issue with that whatsoever. Don't have an issue with that at all.
We'll get some T-shirts, mate.
It's better than being the arse from the south.
But then
Like Brad Fittler.
But then the other 2 points, nobody up there, which obviously is the Northern Hemisphere, speak to him. Well, I think plenty of people speak to me, to be honest with you. And also as well, people back down in Australia wanted to speak to me. The great Mark Guy has a great rugby league show as popular as what ours is here. You know, the best radio show down in Australia, and the same as what we've got here. And as I say, they were very respectful. I was very open and honest. They enjoyed the words what I said from there, and they love international rugby league as well. So he's got that wrong. And then also too as well, saying I was a joke last year on the tour because I was an ambassador for a touring party, the Glory Days. We had over 180 people in there, and so he got that totally wrong as well. So I felt as though his comments were a little bit babyish, to be honest with you, because what Mal should realise is he made his massive name back in 1982, can you remember? This is where rugby league has changed totally from the Invincibles 1982. Mal made the name what he's got now. As a person, respect him totally. As a rugby league player, respect him totally from there. But what I'm saying is now, when you took over the Kangaroos, Mal, you said you're all for the international game. You want Kangaroo tours back on. So what I'm telling you now, Mal Meninga, is simple. I am the Mal for the North. right? Mal, I've got some cheese here. You are the mouse of the south. So bring your kangaroos, or your little Mises, up to north, up here now. Or we'll come to you to play in an Ashes series. Because I can tell you, our 20 best players against your 20 best players, we will beat you in an Ashes series. We'll beat you in a 3-game series. So bring it on. You're supposed to be an internationalist, but I tell you what, Mal, you're running scared. And I'll keep saying you're running scared until you call it out and say, right, we're going to take the English on, we want an Ashes Test series, and we'll shut that mouth of the North up. And until they do, players, there you go, mouse of the south, the cheese is waiting.
It's like having Eddie Hearn here, isn't it?
Fair point. No, fair. I think you're right. And the fact that he's taken another job, because quite clearly the Australian job does not fulfil what he wants to do.
Also, as well, it's great what Wayne Bennett said about Australia. Australia think they can do what they want. Well, they can't do what they want. They're part of Rugby League. They're part of the Rugby League International Federation. And why aren't the Rugby League International Federation telling them, right, all right, we can't get too big for his boots here. It's simple. They have to be part of this calendar. You know, and as I say, Wayne Bennett has said they could do what they want. Well, they should be brought into line. And I'm saying now, Mal Meninga, and your mighty Kangaroos, well, you're not mighty Kangaroos anymore, because the Kiwis have just beaten you. We've just beaten the Kiwis. We are the world number 1. The Kiwis are the world number 2, and you're world number 3. You might have won the World Cup last year, but you don't play anybody now. It's quite simple. The Kiwis can beat you. We will beat you in an Ashes Test series. And also as well, when you look at all the other international sport in Australia, by the way, you look at the cricketers. They can't win anymore because they don't cheat. They can't cheat anymore, so they don't win. And also, well, the rugby union, the international sport in Australia is going down the pan. They can't even beat Wales. They can't even beat Wales at rugby union. So one thing for sure now, they won't beat us in an international game of rugby league because we are far better.
You were once offered a fight with Mal Meninga in a boxing ring. Now, you know, this could be getting a step nearer, Scott.
It was a charity. It was going to be organised for the Steve Prescott Foundation. Martin Blundell, fair play. And Martin Blundell said, Scott, we're looking to get 3 bouts organised, and it's going to be called the Ashes. And so I knew exactly what he was going to say. I think this was around, it's about 10, 12 years ago now, and I've done 2 of them, by the way, and I won't ever do it again. But anyway, it was about 10 or 12 years ago when they came up with this idea. They said, Scott, you're going to be on the bill, and you're going to be top of the bill because we're thinking of you and Mal Meninga. I went, not a chance. Not a chance.
In the world of crowdfunding now, if this was announced, right, I reckon you'd raise 100 grand for charity. You might even get 10% for your own hospital fees. When
so you won't. You'll never.
As long as there's a doctor in the ring,
you'll never see me on a Monday again. You want to get it booked?
No, we don't want that. No,
but as I say,
only if we've got exclusive rights.
But I said to him straight away, not a chance. I said, because Mal on the rugby league field, he was just simply awesome. And to go in a boxing ring with him, what's a boxing ring? 20 foot by 10 foot? Not a chance. But what I'm doing now, I'm calling him out as an international coach, supposedly the coach of the best team in the world, the so-called mighty Kangaroos. I'm saying now, bring it on with England because we're ready for you.
Two things. I want to know who's number 4 in Scully's world rankings.
Yeah, who's number 4?
I understand may not be the official world rankings.
Well, you've got to go with Tonga, haven't you? Simple as that. You've got to go with Tonga. But now, I will tell you, over the last 12-month period, England are number 1, New Zealand are number 2, and the mighty Mises from down south are number 3.
You know, they call a boxing ring a squared circle. 20 foot by 10 foot is not a square, is it?
It's from Bel Air.
A rectangle.
Don't be getting too intelligent, fellas.
Pay-per-view, it's coming. Well,
I don't know if you think. Do you think I'm right with what I'm saying about the Aussies? They should not be allowed to do what they are doing.
I've said it on this show for ages.
I'm fed up with them bullying people.
We move on without them.
Yeah, exactly. I'm fed up with them bullying people. Who do they think they are?
Mark on Twitter, on Facebook says a lot of hot air. That's what we do. What do you think this programme is?
All that we should do is, if we are not going to play them next year, we'll have a brilliant tour without them. But if we are definitely playing them in 2020, bring it on now. Because on the back of what he said, I'd buy a ticket tomorrow.
Yeah, well, that's what we need.
Isn't that what we need to do?
That's what we need. We need them. We need Meninga now to come out and say, right, you're right, we are coming.
We're not coming till 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, they wanted to come 2019. That was their plan. I think we were
told...
That
was their plan for the way out they're coming?
Well, because we were told at this World Cup briefing that they want to almost run a dummy competition in 2020 to spike the interest in 2021. So they actually want the Aussies to be here the year
The
big
before.
draw.
If we
The big
beat them
draw.
or
Yeah.
we're close to them.
I think, and that's worked with other big international sporting events. That I think they were talking about the international athletics. That before the Olympics, the year before, you have a big event in the stadium. You're going to have the Olympics with all the top names there.
The problem
and it
there,
piques
though,
interest.
is, and this is the problem I've got with this whole announcement, is if Australia come here, yeah, they'd have their touring party, it'd be negligible compared to what's going the other way. If England or Great Britain were to go there, there'd be a lot of fans go watch. But the clock is ticking. If you're wanting to go on around the the world trip,
So you need to
you've got like 9 months to save up.
10
It's
months.
not a lot, is it? You need to know, like the Lions tour, whenever
Yeah.
the rugby union one, you know when it is, where they're going.
Exactly.
But
And if you want to go, you start saving up.
the other issue we've got is that we at the moment don't even know the full extent of our domestic fixtures for next season. We don't know Magic Weekend. We think the Championship and League One are coming out on the 25th of November. So how are we going to schedule an Ashes test in 2 years' time when we don't have a set fixture list?
Exactly.
When are these games going to take place?
Exactly.
If we can nail it down
And
now...
is there not the point here, right? And I've mentioned this before, and I've said about how we maybe need to align with them. Do we maybe then, if we do align with them, say, right, well, when you're coming here, you start a little bit earlier, so when you get here, we'll still be playing, and there'll be teams ready to play. So if Wigan get knocked out of the
let's
playoffs,
just say,
you got Wigan first week.
here's another idea. They're coming for a 3-match series, which is 3 weekends.
Yeah.
But they have to bring enough players to play midweek.
Yeah.
So the midweek games they've got, they would play maybe France, maybe Wales, maybe Scotland. You could have your European Championship. One of the rewards of finishing top of that is you get to play Australia. But the one club game they have is the team that win the grand final. So not only finishing first suddenly has more kudos, but you win the grand final, you get a midweek game against Australia.
I would go different with that. Yeah, I would make it a 6-week kangaroo tour, because I say
They won't come for 6 weeks.
No. So
That's where you've got to be realistic.
a 6-game kangaroo
games.
tour. But what I would do, I would have it against Yorkshire, Lancashire, and Cumbria. The Kangaroos going up to
I
Cumbria.
think it's International Rugby League.
No,
I think if they played Scotland in Cumbria,
the Kangaroo tours were against club sides. So what I'm saying is here now, because the players who don't get picked for the national side, they're going to play a game where they're not used to that sort of intensity. So, say for instance, you take the Yorkshire, the Kangaroos to Headingley, because there won't be a test match there. That'll be a sellout. You take the Lancashire game against the Kangaroos to St Helens.
I think we're
that'll
talking
be a
about
sellout.
international game. We need international teams.
No, we're talking about a kangaroo tour.
We need Scotland and Wales to play.
He's just made a point there. If Leeds played Australia, you won't be able to get a ticket for love nor money. It doesn't matter who's going there. I get what you're saying about the Yorkshire. I think that's a bit in the past. I think.
I don't think so. I think the lads who literally Yorkshire, Leicester, Cumbria, they will be absolutely
maybe the Cumbria one to generate money for the game
yeah,
up there,
but
the
play
others I'm not so
Scotland.
bothered.
If you were announcing 2 years in advance that Ireland were playing Australia in midweek in Dublin, you would get 10,000 people.
Have you brought YouTube, by the way? There seems to be a problem.
No. I think Facebook's having issues of their own, not us.
Ah, right, okay. Fair enough. What about YouTube?
No, YouTube's fine.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, we'll go check.
I think I would go what he said, right? I think county rugby's gone. I think it's gone. It's had its day. It's had its day for me.
And what we've seen with some of these European Championships, you've seen quite a lot of them, is that these are the games that John Keir knew that as part of his build-up to the World Cup, he was playing Australia.
Yeah. What about
That's
the
what
night?
it is.
What about the Knights playing them on a Wednesday night down at Castle, wherever it is,
Or Cumbria.
Hull or
Play
whatever,
that in
second.
Cumbria.
Yeah, I'm all for that for the Knights, isn't it? You mentioned with Cumbria, but yeah, I'm with the York. I tell you what, the lads who are available for Yorkshire, the lads who are available for Lancashire, they would love to get ripped in the Kangaroos. I'll tell you, love to.
And what you need, if you get them here, and they get hammered, I don't mean on the field, verbally, and they're getting it everywhere they go. What are they going to do when they go home? So right, well, we want the same here. When they're coming here, they're getting the same.
You see, but also as well, the Aussies. You see, like even last year, I was at the World Cup, and I was at the World Cup final, right? And the Aussies are that arrogant, you know. The fans didn't even wait in the ground to see the presentation of the World Cup to them, because they thought, yeah, we're going to win it anyway. Well, they did. They just managed to win it in the 6-0. But the Aussie fans, they're even arrogant as well. They didn't even wait and celebrate the presentation of the trophy to the winning side.
Fair dues. What's happening, Rich? Have you broke it?
Yeah, I think we just lost connection. But we're still on Facebook.
You back on? Are you back on YouTube? I don't want to waste. It's like we're having a commercial break on Facebook. While you fix YouTube. Let us know when you fixed it. Sco's going to start singing in a minute. I was going to have some cheese on toast. A lot of people tell us, thanks for jumping on Facebook and telling us. David makes a good point. Phil reckons we're playing too many games, then he wants the grand final wins to play Australia. David,
No.
you're missing the point.
The point is less domestic
games
and more international windows.
More international, that's what we're saying. So I think we're on similar kind of lines. Chris says Mal Meninga's broken YouTube. That's what's happened. He's hacked us. He's broken us. Do you want to use my phone? What's happening?
No, that's the internet.
Oh, you've brought the internet,
yeah,
have you?
I'm on the wrong internet. Bear with me.
Oh, well. Now Mal Meninga's brought the internet. Yeah, be like the Sunday Sport. This Mal Meninga's done this. Mal Meninga's done that.
Well, Mal Meninga's sulking. I'll tell you, don't worry about that. He's sulking.
So he's taking a job at the Gold Coast or something. What? Talent identification.
Something about culture or something. Culture manager or something. Team manager culture or something.
Sounds like a jolly up jobs for the boys. You could do with a job like that. Culture manager. Yeah.
I call it team spirit.
You like a bit of culture club, don't you?
Oh yeah, what boy George? Come back.
You played rugby in Hull, the city of culture. You bit of Liverpool. You know, you're all about culture. We're back. We're back. Hello, everybody. You've not missed anything.
Boy George on a Sunday night in TC's in Richmond. I'll tell you what, could beat it.
They've knocked Cinderella's down.
Jason said internationals are much better than loop fixtures. I think we all agree that, don't we? It's how do we... I've said it before.
Right.
The club chairman, as much as they're supporting the game, they are stopping the game.
Correct. The club chairman have to be told, this is what's happening on the international calendar, this is what's happening on the international scene, and your players have to be made available. Simple as that. It's them who've got to be told, because at this moment in time, most of the chairman and the chief executives couldn't care less about an international calendar because they supply the players, they pay them, and they don't want them playing.
We've got the announcement.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Announcement over this weekend of some of the pre-season fixtures that are going to be played. So we're already, not only do we have too many games and too many loop fixtures, but Wakefield are playing Hull, Leeds are playing Castleford, Wakefield, Hull are playing
Wakefield.
There's somebody else as well.
I don't know. I'm not
for testimonials. It just never ends. We need to have a natural break. We need to give the players time to have a proper pre-season, and we need to fill the proper gaps with internationals. Until we do that, we'll all feel like rich and exhausted at the end of the season.
Hull have got to play Hull KR as well, of course.
They're not playing in a pre-season.
Are they not?
It's like Uncle Albert.
No, because they're playing the first week of the season.
That's one thing less I can moan about now.
Are we back on YouTube?
I think
people are saying we're not. I think you've brought it again. Here, hold on. Throw this here. This should sort it out.
It should be. But
Surprised the floorboards aren't giving away. Where's a bit of that?
It is.
Where's a bit of that? I'm going to steal that off him. Get in touch on 4020 live on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. We'll blame Rich for it not working. So it's back on. It might be Glenn. You might need to refresh, Glenn. You might need to refresh.
This is why I'm not allowed to speak to people.
Why is that?
Because I'm not a reliable.
Who have you not been allowed to speak to? You might as well get it out now.
Go on, spit it out.
I don't think people realise what people covering rugby league need from people. Because you go to these things and everyone's crowded around players in the mix zone yesterday, and whichever newspaper you choose to read, you don't need to read another one, because you'll hear James Graham saying the same thing in every paper, and you'll hear Richie Myler saying the same thing in every paper, because whoever asked the best question of the rugby league journalist will just nick that quote, which is no good for broadcasters, which allegedly I am. 16 years doing this. But even representing a national...
You like Big Nige, yeah. You wake up every day going, I can't.
I'm the luckiest man in the world.
You know, I was there on Friday, don't you? Getting stuck into the bacon sandwiches. Old Mr. Barwick was there as well.
Was he, Brian? Did you ask him what he does for his 80?
All the big knobs from rugby league were there, because it was the International Federation people there. As soon as they walked in, the room got very warm, full of hot air. Yeah. So Wednesday night, it's the Rugby League Hall of Fame, which I was invited to because Scoey said some things about International Rugby League that were wrong. So we got invited. So basically do that again, same time next year, Scoey, just annoy people and we get invites to stuff. Which is very nice, enjoyable, great, respectful evening, you know. Celebrating the history of our game and the presence. We'll talk about the Golden Boot in a minute because
get on
because that's been cocked up and that's not Tommy Makinson's fault. But Tommy Makinson won the Golden Boot, which was great for him. So we all went off into a room in the back of the pavilion at Elland Road, and he did an interview with Dave Woods for the BBC, which is good because they're the host broadcaster of this Test series. And then he did an all-in with all the journalists, where they all crowd round and ask questions. And again, if someone asks a good question, everyone nicks that quote. And I asked if I was able to get a one-on-one with him, because for radio, it's not very good to do an interview where you can hear everyone else and not the person who's working for that radio station. You can understand that, can't you?
Yeah.
But I was denied that opportunity because he had to go training the next morning. So imagine my surprise as I walked out of that room and he was doing a TV interview with a media outlet who don't have hundreds of thousands or millions of listeners.
Okay, fair enough.
So, well done.
I don't think some of our YouTube people didn't hear that because it's still broken. So you need to sort that out.
It should.
Gary, Jim Mills, our learned friend, has been on. He said, "Is he to do with you at Leeds next week? Is there a do at Leeds?"
Sunday.
He says, "Make sure you bring some money. He'll show you how to get around him."
Big
Jim, you'll have to make sure there is emotional and medical support there, because if he has to get around him, he'll be traumatised. I'll tell you, he'll be traumatised.
A bit harsh, Mr. Wilson, but Jim can speak. But anyway, by the way, who's going to be, I would say, daft enough and silly enough to say to Jim Mills, Jim, show around, get back. One with the show. I think I was a little bit smart in the rugby league field. I'm certainly at times smart off the field. And I wanted Jim. I tell you what, Jim Mills says to me, "You're going to the bar. I'm going to the bar."
Oh, there you said it, Jim. Jim, yeah, no
Jim,
worries.
free drinks all afternoon.
Yeah,
Jim Mills says it's Christmas. You start singing a carol. Don't worry about that. I can reassure you.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. He's it was good to see him at Wrexham.
He looks a good form. I saw him in the league, especially with the photographs with Kurt Sorensen. They had a great night 2 weeks ago, didn't they? Kurt Sorensen and Martin Fire getting into their Hall of Fame, and he looks in good form, Jim. Looks in good form.
Is that because he was banned so often? Is that why he didn't play as many games, or what?
I would have thought so. I would imagine the time Jim went out, he might have done a little bit of extra training, a little bit extra lapping, as I called it in nowadays. Get yourself some lapping, Jim. You're not playing for the fortnight.
Just a fortnight. Must have been a small one. We will see. Keep your tweets coming in at Forty20 Live. You can get in touch on Facebook. I think YouTube or something's gone back to the start, which is great for our figures because it means everyone watches again. But
it should be working, but I don't know why it's not.
Richard's broken it. He's broken it. I can only apologise.
I think it's dark forces from other media organisations.
Royce, has anyone got a shilling for the meter? No, but we've got a crowbar. That should deal with it, shouldn't it? That should. So apologies for that. We are on Facebook. Lots of people watching us on there. It's nearly time. It's nearly half time, so I'm wasting time. It's like football. I'm kicking for touch and walking to the scrum.
Taking it to the corner.
I don't want to go too in depth, before our next topic. Where's Paul Rowley going to go next? We said ages ago he was leaving.
Lee need a coach.
They do. They need some money as well.
And the new players and the new whatever lead, don't they? But it's an interesting one for Paul, isn't it? Because he's done a good job. He did a good job at Leeds, did a good job at the Wolfpack, and obviously all the positions are taken up now. So I guess the question will be, Super League, who's going to be under pressure first?
Is he a Super League coach?
Well, that's what I just want to say to you. Let's just say, as we've mentioned already, the coach will be under most pressure, certainly after losing 11 on the bounce at the end of last season, and we all know that. He's Lee Radford, so would one of the big clubs, would they be looking, to take on a young British coach from at that point of view in Paul Rowley? It's a test for him, isn't it? Really, massive test.
It is. What do we think? I mean, Brian Mack, we were led to believe was always going to get the gig. I guess we all had second thoughts maybe when they didn't get promoted. Was he going to take the challenge on? And I think some people are saying, "Oh, is he the right man for the gig?" But Brian McDermott, he's been in the armed forces, he's lived away from home. He's a big man. He can look after himself. He knows what it's all about, and it's going to be interesting for him.
What I think there's two things with Brian McDermott. What he knows is how to get a dressing room all moving in the same direction. And I think the one thing he will bring is some degree of purpose to it's really hard when you've got a disparate group of people who are away from home. He is very good at moulding that into a team. That is one of his strengths. I think the other thing that works in his favour is he's done it at London. So it's not that people say, "Oh well, he's done it with a team." It wasn't really him. It was the quality of player he had. No, he made some massive strides with the club in London when he had nothing to work with. And a lot of the structures that were put in place at the time, bringing through people like Rob Powell and recognising the fact that it wasn't just about the 80 minutes of the first team, that there had to be some proper pathways. He did a lot of that work, a lot of it unseen, worked with quite a lot of community coaches down there, wanted to change the way rugby league was taught at community level. He will be great. He'll be absolutely what they need. I think also working in harness with John Wilkin will be very interesting, because when he signed for Toronto, Wilkin said, what I see from the outside are a group of mercenaries. I don't see a team. So my job, and I'm really looking forward to it, is to go in there and instill whatever culture means to get everybody working together.
Yeah.
So I think if you've got a coach doing that and the ideas of how you do that, and you've got your general in the dressing room that can deliver that, I think Toronto will be a much different team. And in some respects, if they get it right, it's far easier to get promoted.
Yeah,
because you don't have to go through the eights. If you finish top, you can win a grand final. You're promoted.
Nicholas makes an interesting point. He said he's our resident Canadian, or one of our resident Canadian fans. What about Paul Rowley going to a club where David Argyle has got some other interests and commitment? That would, of course, mean London, we believe. Scholars, not the Broncos.
Would he want to coach at League One level? I'm not sure.
Well, it's going to be interesting. Where's he going to get? He's not going to walk into a gig at the minute, is he? He's not. He's
what about
missed
Wakefield? He's looking. He needs an assistant, doesn't he? Chester at Wakefield. Would he go as an assistant? But I'm just going to say there with McDermott, Phil, because with the Wolfpack, I was going to say, well, he hasn't got the quality that leaves dressing room, and I take exactly what you're saying about the London situation, but with the Wolfpack, as John Wilkins said, mercenaries, and also I would call them journeymen. How's he going to handle them players?
Well, I think the 6 players that they've signed for next year, they will be the elite in that division. So he'll have the combination that he would probably want. He'll have some quality players that can carry out what he wants to. But I think he's also got a group whereby, if they play to their potential, they are the elite players in that division. So I think he's got the best of both worlds. I think it'll be very good for them.
Well, Steve says Rowley did a good job at the Wolfpack. Even Scoy would have got them promoted. Come on, Steve. Stop being rude.
It's a bit harsh, Mr. Wilson.
I'm only saying. Paul says, sorry for the negativity. Not sure I can read this out.
I don't think we're allowed.
Not sure I can read this out.
Positive rugby league.
Yeah, exactly. Cass on Sky 13 times in the first 18 rounds. Wow! Only one Sunday game in the first 19 rounds, home or away. That's an issue, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's another issue, and it might not seem like much, but it is. The away game that most fans look forward to the most these days is Catalan. And a lot of people plan summer holidays around it, will possibly save up for that, maybe even not go to a couple of other games to enable them to. Well, because of loot fixtures, 3 teams are now going to Catalan twice.
Yeah.
So we're already diluting this event culture that we're trying to, and somebody's going to play them at Magic Weekend as well. And all of the time, all we're doing with loop fixtures and that quite salient point of the number of times that you're on Skies, we're
13 out of 18.
We're actually encouraging people not to go. You may as well buy your Sky subscription and go to Catalan.
No, I agree. Sandy, who went, I think, to the England-New Zealand game yesterday, was a Canadian fan, Toronto fan, I presume, from Canada, said, I'll always be grateful to Paul Rowley, took a risk joining us, a new sporting concept, did great for us, and he'll always be known as the world's first transatlantic sporting coach, so praise there. And
I think that's right, but in every organisation there comes a point when you need change. I think there's a magazine out this week that the director of rugby from Toronto writes a column in, and he's just saying that however you looked at last season, they didn't achieve what they wanted to achieve, so there had to be change.
Andy says, can you move that 4020 mag with Tompkins' face on it? It's getting on my nerves. How can you say that when Scoey sat there? Come on. Paul says 7 Thursday games, killing the games for kids to attend. That is a very valid point.
But again, the problem with that is we do need Sky's money. And
but
the
NFL need the money from wherever they get it from. But they don't have the same teams on every week.
Championship football, they what do they make Carlisle fans go to?
But that is a choice, because they say, and you're on about Ipswich go to Leeds on a Tuesday. Is there's a feeling in the game that there's only so many Ipswich fans are ever going to go to Leeds, whether it's a Saturday or a Tuesday. and the chances are the majority of them will go regardless. So you're not impacting the crowd. Whereas if you made it Huddersfield Leeds on a Tuesday, more people might not go. That's why they do that. But
we've got a few Saturday games at the start of the season.
Yeah, all right. I mean,
but the trouble is when you sign to a principal broadcaster, your right of when you play is taken away from you.
It is.
And that's
but
just
I'll
the
say
nature
what I
of the
said
beast.
again about the NFL. It's a 17-week season during the regular season. There are 17 Thursday games and there are 17 Monday games, and I bet the same team won't be on there more than three times.
But the difference with the NFL is there is no real concept of away support. Because of distance, there's very few. They can sell out their ground to home fans only. So the television is to enable away fans to see the game, whether that's a Thursday or Friday.
No. I disagree.
But there aren't many away fans in the NFL.
No, you'd be surprised, mate. You'd be surprised.
But it's not the same. It's not the same as the culture over here.
I'm not saying it is, but I think you need to go down the route of saying, right, you've got these, you can have Castleford 4 times, you've got St Helens 4 times, and you need to be a bit smarter when you pick the fixtures out. We don't know how the season's going to pan out. There's a game tonight on Monday Night Football against 2 of the worst teams in the league, and people are going, oh, what a rubbish game. But they also admit, well, we didn't know that when we picked the fixtures. People get injured, these things happen, that's life. Everyone will still tune in and watch it.
I still think that the issue with Thursday nights is who plays who, and that anybody that thinks that Hull and Widnes playing each other on a Thursday night is a good idea. Last year, obviously not this year because Widnes have been, but Hull and St Helens it's nonsense. We need to, if you're going to have derby fixtures, if that kind of rivalry is what supports the sport, then every Thursday night fixture has to involve as little travel as possible for fans.
Neil says something important here, and it is I don't know if it's a uniquely rugby league thing about the supporters of the sport who will find any reason to moan about things.
Agreed.
Well, I'm not going to go watch the test match because it's in Anfield and I'm an Everton fan, or I hate Leeds United, or I don't like Hull. And as Neil says, 24,000 people go to watch Yorkshire and Lancashire in the T20 on a Friday night. If people want to, it can be done. It can be done. Great phrase.
My issue is with the attitude to the Challenge Cup at the moment. That we're asking teams to underwrite it in case they get there because the attendance will be lower, when what we should be doing is making it the event that everybody wants to go to, irrespective of who the teams are that go in there.
Isn't that the problem with the test series we just had?
Hold on, have you broken the computer?
Yeah, I just unplugged it in.
The phone, the computer.
The light flickers.
What the hell are you doing today?
The big issue with...
It's ever since you
the
bought
big
this
issue,
trophy.
selling the big issue. That's
we might be soon.
Yes.
Yeah. Times are getting hard.
The grand final, Challenge Cup final, test series, and everyone wants tickets for nothing. And that is the fault of the clubs who price their... And I'm not talking about the Championship or League One clubs who need to get people through the gate. People who run Super League clubs who give away tickets to the regular season games for a pittance, then people don't turn up for the playoffs because they are used to not paying to watch a high quality product. So the clubs have built, and Huddersfield's the obvious example, because how much were their season tickets the other year?
Well, would that be the same Huddersfield that lost £1.5 million?
So £100 or whatever for a season ticket. I can't remember. £99, there you go. So why the next year? And Wakefield had the same problem as well, giving away tickets, and look what happened to them under a useless regime who were never allowed to criticise.
You get stuck in, mate.
This is the great thing about rugby league. You're not allowed to criticise what's happened in the past. Because this is the whole negativity thing. Right? We can't be negative.
I don't think we're any more negative as a sport than any other sport.
This is what annoys me. Because
listen to 606 on whenever it's on, every night. And all it is football fans ringing in and moaning.
If you don't learn from what people have done in the past, you can't move forward because you'll repeat those same mistakes. We've undervalued our sport.
And I also think that asking questions of governing bodies as to why fixtures are planned in a certain way or how you would do things, you might do things more productively, is healthy. It's not negative. I mean, we've seen today our good friends at Coventry Bears.
Very good video.
Have released a video enticing people why they should buy a season ticket. That video cost nothing. It was all done by volunteers at the club. It was done by the creative energy of people that are around the club. If they can do that for nothing and it looks really effective, and if you live in Coventry, you might be persuaded to go and watch these people that can run long distances and have funny hair, then we're not serving the game. We'll go back to Sunday, and all right, the performance on the field, not great from England. Some real stuff to admire from New Zealand that shouldn't go amiss. But the first 15 minutes played the sport in such a wonderful light for the tribute that it paid. There are some people who have come into the RFL recently that saw the value of all of that and worked very hard to put that on. There were people at the BBC who wanted to properly commemorate something because they had a test event on the most poignant day of the year, and the reading out of the names of the players who fell in the First World War by the current players was magnificent. It was on the screen at the ground. The names were highlighted around the middle tier. The fact that you could get two international teams before they go out and belt each other, to put their arms around each other, linked in, to show solidarity of 100 years before, that reflects so well on our sport. Those are the things that, if we could do more stuff like that all of that costs very little. In fact, it probably costs nothing. Well, that's what we've got to be better at.
This was my issue with not being able to speak to Tommy Makinson more than anything else is, and I keep saying this and I don't know how to get this through to people. People watching this programme tonight are rugby league supporters.
Yeah.
They're not just landing on YouTube or Facebook when it works and watching this programme because there's four people who are vaguely amusing talking about something. They're not.
When do they come?
Well, later on, after 8 o'clock.
People are loving Richard Grant. We're getting demands. He's going to be coming in next. When contracts are up, he's going to be saying, "Hang on, my weekly rant."
Steve Rowley should take my job.
That's plugging the computer.
Oh, right, fair enough.
You know the two Ronnies. He's going to get a slot in his chair as Ronnie Corbett.
Ronnie the Rhino. Get him on. He speaks more sense. I love that thing.
Well, you said
I love that thing Ronnie the Rhino did about bullying today. I thought that was really good. Retweeted that myself. Love Ronnie, he's great. Best thing about the Rhinos. Only good thing about the Rhinos.
What about the PDRL team?
On the PDRL team.
Yeah, beat Wakefield. Yeah.
We've got rid of some bad apples in our team now. We'll be better next year. So the only people who watch this programme are rugby league people. The only people who watch the Super League show are rugby league people. The only people who watch other rugby league programmes are rugby league people. Tommy Makinson, if we'd have been able to speak to him and get that interview on national radio, people might have thought, who's this Tommy Makinson? You know, like Brad Fittler, he might have been tuning into Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast and going, who's this Tommy Makinson? What's the Golden Boot? When do I get to... He's the best player, when do I get to see him play? But I didn't get that opportunity. And we, as a sport, kick ourselves in the back foot because he had to go training. So 2 minutes with me, no good. It's nonsense. The people in charge of our sport need to realise how we can get publicity. It's all right having your own TV stations and your own Twitter. The only people who follow the England Rugby League Twitter are rugby league supporters. The only people who follow the RFL are rugby league supporters. We're preaching to the same crowd all the time. Yeah. And we want people to come and watch these internationals, and it's all right people going on Twitter and saying, as Phil mentioned earlier, hashtag positive rugby league, and I understand what you're trying to do. You're talking to the converted. We already know. We already turned up. I bought those tickets months ago for the internationals. So, what's the point? No one's watching these programmes who isn't interested in rugby league. We need to get more people interested.
Which is
in
exactly
league.
what John Dutton said on Friday about the 2021 World Cup. It is avowedly going after the non-rugby league audience,
and that might annoy people who are rugby league supporters. Tough, because you're going to go. And if you don't go, you'd be on forums moaning. I've seen people moaning already about the 1895 Cup, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a moment. Because let's face it, it's something Phil's been banging on about for ages.
What about the Yorkshire Cup? Or the predominantly West Yorkshire Cup, as it's now known.
Has that been announced, has it now?
Well, I think it has, because some clubs have put fixtures out, even though it hasn't been announced.
Yorkshire Cup's been brought back, and Wakefield are not in it to defend their crown.
It's not quite the Yorkshire Cup, is it?
Ah, right.
Because it doesn't include the south of the county.
Right.
Doesn't include the east of the county.
Right, okay.
It only includes a very small bit of the north of the county.
Right, okay.
And it doesn't include any Super League.
Is there something in common with these clubs that are in that?
I think they like each other.
In that cup. Is it that they like each other, or someone else likes them?
Well, they may have done a service.
Yeah.
Maybe,
so really, it's
maybe
a bit
payback.
of It's a bit of a funny handshake cup, isn't it? This
Could be.
you look after us. You look after us, and we'll look after you.
But the other thing is, when talking about there's too many games, we've now got more games.
Glenn wants us to go on Twitch. I can't even work YouTube, Glenn.
What the hell is Twitch?
It's another thing. Steve says, does anyone watch football programmes that don't follow football? I imagine not. If the rugby union's on the weekend, I don't watch the rugby union.
I think football has a universal draw. I think if you're sat in a car on a journey and there's a football commentary on, you're more likely to listen to it. So I think for some, because it's the national sport, there is an allegiance to football. You don't have to be a fanatic to get drawn into.
Say the Speedway, and I saw an interesting tweet earlier about Speedway, and they seem to be in all kinds of bother. But if you weren't interested in Speedway,
started on Speedway now.
Oh,
Jesus.
Basketball,
table tennis.
Does he want any cheese?
Squash, table tennis, whatever. You ain't going to watch those programmes, are you?
Well, is this not why, though, we need the Super League show to be on nationally at a time when people might go, oh, but did you see that? That's what we want.
Well, I think what we want is a way of showcasing somebody like Tommy Makinson.
Now, you don't say personality.
You don't want to do it at
can't do that.
12:30 in the morning. But,
and then again, here's another reason why we've kicked ourselves in the foot. If we'd have announced on Wednesday the International Player of the Year is Tommy Makinson, then everyone would go, yeah. But we've given him an award, and this is not his fault, which has been won in the past by the best player in the world.
One of whom is sitting in the room.
We have got one golden boot between us on this show.
And a golden golf ball.
I can't help but feel if one of us had have actually put a bit more effort in and got on with people, we might have even got a golden cap.
We might have had a pair of golden boots.
I've been on to the RLIF, right?
Oh, you've been on, have you?
Yeah. Scoey's golden caps in the post. It's off eBay, don't panic. He's coming from China, it might be here next week. But it's not Tommy Makinson's fault that he's won an award which can you imagine if in any other sport you gave an award out, you said, well, this used to be given for, say in cricket, this award used to be given to the best bowler, but now we've given it to the best wicket keeper.
Yeah.
It's not, it's again, we've done this to ourselves. We are our own worst enemy.
I get it, but I don't think we explained it well enough. But when the International Federation bought the Golden Boot, which they paid money for it, it's now their property. It's their right to rebrand that for it to be what they need it to be. They are only in charge of the internationals that go on. So, there is the Dally M to crown the best domestic player in Australia. There is the Man of Steel to crown the best domestic player here. What they're saying is above that will be the Golden Boot, which is only for internationals. But I'm not sure they said that. They just said, we bought the Golden Boot, here are the other people that have won it. And you go, yeah, but they won it because of all the things they did. You're now saying you're going to have to play 3 games and you can win it. What it says, going right back to the debate we've had at the very beginning of this programme, is for the Golden Boot to have meaning, we need to play more internationals.
Well, the way it is at the moment, and Aussie will never win it again, will they?
Well,
that's good.
No. Well done for playing in 3 games.
What did you make of it, Ledge? You are the person here that's won it. I mean, what does it devalue what you won, or do you look at it now as just a different thing?
No, well, as I say, it's not Tommy Makinson's fault. As Phil just rightly explained, the RLF bought off League Express Martin Sadler, whose it was from there, but as it was, he was the best player in the world over a 12-month period. So I would imagine you heard the comments from Fittler, from Greg Alexander. He never won it, by the way, but from Fittler and. I would imagine, and certainly I feel it's degrading it because, as Phil mentioned, it's not being explained properly, and I agree with what Justin Holbrook has said in League Express. It's not Tommy Makinson's fault. It hasn't been explained rightly what it's all about, and he said he should change it to the International Player of the Year. It's as simple as not as the best player in the world, but the International Player of the Year.
But then everybody needs to play the same amount of tests so you can compare players. Nations, I mean. I know you're not comparing like we're like in terms of standard, but one of the nations who've played more than any other is Spain, who are still on the merry-go-round for qualification. Well, they've had a brilliant year. They could still get to the World.
Phil, don't be telling somebody from Spain should be International Player of the Year.
No, but they should be in the nomination. They should be in the nomination.
Could you name a Spanish player then?
Rodriguez.
He's just made that. He's made that up.
You can't
He's made that up. He's made that up.
My next door neighbour's called Rodriguez, but he's not from Spain.
You can't discount that. Of course I'd make that up. Delgado.
Somebody from Spain.
He scored the try in Serbia. Tony Delgado did score the try.
But he's somebody from Spain.
No, what I'm saying is, if you're serious about
Well,
being
if he needs a bottle of Factor 6.
the International Player of the Year, he should be nominated. He may not win it.
That's a fair point.
He should be nominated.
Why not? Why not?
Well, who the hell did they play?
Greece.
But the
Australia
fact
only
is,
won one game
at
all year.
international level, they have played a number. The Netherlands
games to
have
best
won 4 games for the first time ever in a year. They must have a player who deserves a nomination.
Who's that?
Because he's the Netherlands. Because he's played more games than James Tedesco at international level.
There were 4. Was it 4 men on the men's shortlist?
Yes.
And 5 women. Why were there more women on the shortlist? Why? It's the first time the women's Golden Boot's been awarded.
Yeah.
They must have known before the event who'd won it.
They did.
Right.
So fly
Because they
over.
made the video. Well, this was brilliant, wasn't it? We got the first ever women's Golden Boot via satellite from Australia. How many? Was it just one Golden Cap winner there? And that was Adrian Morley. The rest were all represented by either Todd Greenberg or
Man from New Zealand.
In fairness, Jim Sullivan had an excuse not to be there, so that was fine. But Ruben Wiki wasn't there. No one else was there.
Cameron Smith
Petra
wasn't there.
Siva wasn't there.
Rocky wasn't there.
So,
But
so
they
they've
could
got
have
this
been.
new thing.
I mean, they could have been.
Here's another great new concept we've come up with. I'm trying to get an invite for next year, obviously, here. We've come up with a great new concept. The only person there to accept it is Adrian Morley.
Did you know that this year's Golden Boot was originally drawn?
What?
Dalin Watin-Zelezniak and Tommy Makinson were level after the original vote.
Don't be saying this now.
Who
And
votes
they
on
went.
this?
They had
No,
to
who
go
votes?
back to the
Who
panel.
votes?
Hold on. They had a game of paper, scissors, rock.
Who's on the panel?
They
Who's on
did.
the panel?
Come on, that'd round it off. That'd round it off.
I used to be on.
It's
I
right.
used to be on the panel. On the panel before when it was.
Is that someone else you've been sacked for?
Yeah. On the panel, it was me.
They said he didn't
Me-
know Marty
me-
to power
Mal
over the
Meninga.
Golden
Me, Wally Lewis, Brett Kenny, Hugh McGann, Martin, and I think the late great Malcolm Andrews. I used to.
All the people that aren't in your phone.
I used to get
anymore.
the vote for the Golden Boot.
So who did they go to then for the? Who
Well,
was
they
on
went
the
back.
panel?
They went back to. I don't know, but Makinson won it 4-1 when they went back and said you've got to choose
So it
one.
was a draw before, and then it ended up 4-1.
Is it like the X Factor?
Well, this is-
Why didn't it go to deadlock?
I mean, it is the power of recent, isn't it? He scored the hat-trick on the weekend. And again, we're not saying anything negative about Tommy
I
Makinson.
honestly think that if you look at purely internationals played this year, he has as good a case as anybody to be named the International Player of the Year. If that is now awarded the Golden Boot, nothing to do with him.
Why can I have a golden rugby ball?
There was a year when they had a dinner, an International Player of the Year type dinner, where every nation sent something in about their Player of the Year, and it felt like a much bigger event. I think we should do that again. So our International Player of the Year would be our Golden Boot winner. Australia's would be their Dally M winner. And every nation would nominate a player.
I could see that. I could see that.
And I know they were both preparing for the third test, so I understand they had training and whatever. Obviously, had to go straight away after to go for training. It was a shame that only the Golden Boot nominees were there on Wednesday when it is the Hall of Fame dinner, and they all disappeared before the Hall of Fame bit.
All of the England squad should have been there, and all of the New Zealand squad. They were all in Leeds,
Why
so
not?
there's no reason why they shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, got to be in bed at 8
Well,
o'clock.
I mean, maybe for the Kiwis, of course, who wouldn't stop and speak to the media the week before, we didn't get offered a free Chinese or something to go on TV. So. Sean Johnson's happy to speak when he's getting free food.
Did
isn't
he interview well yesterday, the Kiwis?
I've no idea.
No.
I didn't say I buggered off. Once I saw people drinking beer in the mix zone, I thought this isn't for me anymore.
When you mentioned the makers have been the England international player for England, what about Alec White? How do you think he's played brilliant for the four test?
I'd have voted. Personally, if I'd have been on the panel, I'd have voted for Whitehead. But it helps when you score a hat-trick the week before.
I'm not denying that.
Stephen's asked if he won it 4-1, how was it a draw before? Who knows?
Well,
Who knows? We don't know, Stephen. We're just looking for more invites to stuff.
because there's more than 5 people on the panel. Anyway, the
But they only
first
have 5
set of
people in it.
votes, they were drawn.
This is like the Electoral College in America. We know how it works. Donald Trump's going to come in and say, actually, it was Steele Retchless. He's the winner.
Yeah, I think there's 5 people on that panel, aren't there? This new panel now. Martin Sattler, Mascot's on it. Dave Woods is on it.
Dunno.
Yeah, but didn't Steve Mascall tweet that he was going to be taken off?
There's 5 people on the panel to pick the Golden Boot.
So the first set of votes could have been 2, 2 and 1.
But also as well, compare that to the original panel, i.e. myself, Lewis, Kenny. I think we know a little bit more about rugby league, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, you know more than Martin.
From a player's point of view. Of course I do.
You don't want to get sacked for a week's call.
Of course I do.
He's internationally unemployed all over the world now. He's like us, really. Anything else you want to discuss?
I'm sure there's something we had to say. Oh, because I missed a bit about Paul Rowley, and I'd like to get a bit for internet later in the week to get some views. How's Brian McDermott going to do it in Toronto? Because he's obviously
in Manchester.
In Manchester, you know, with the Toronto-based media, you can't escape for Paul Rowley being on the fan whatever number radio station it is, and all their players.
Him and the mayor are just like that.
Yeah. Not the former mayor, thankfully. How's Brian McDermott going to get on with the squad they've got in Toronto? Because there are some interesting players there.
He's great copy. Because if he says nothing, he's good copy.
Well, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting if he's going to be given free rein to speak to the media. Because with the best will in the world, at Leeds he wasn't.
Or is Brian?
He was kept pretty much under wraps.
Or is Brian Noble going to do that as part of his role?
Change the titles around.
But I think Brian McDermott would be great. Because I think for what he says, he's good copy. But you need to have journalists that will ask him the kind of questions that he'll respond
or
to.
be allowed to ask.
Yeah. And I think that over there they will ask him, and part of the remit will be he'll need to answer them.
It's an interesting one, that, isn't it?
But he's a personality as well. There's a lot that they can make out of who this guy is. That the ex-marine and the professional boxer and guy who's won more titles in Super League than everybody. There's a lot they can work on out there. He could be a personality out there.
How do you think he'll get on Ledge?
I think he'll be all right, yeah, because with the show he'll get the respect. His man management's good. I think that's going to be the most important factor for him. Man management, handling players who, they've got big egos. Even they're not the journeymen, they've got big egos. So it's going to be a different sort of dressing room for him for what he had at Leeds. As we know, the players what he had there at Leeds, not just the quality, but also as well the leadership qualities what they brought. And as I say, I would imagine McDermott just kept it nicely with his man management style. This is totally different because journeymen, big egos. Pressure of the job as well, so it's going to be interesting.
Not as many. I think people like Tom Albinson will absolutely thrive under Brian McDermott. I think that's a really good sign.
Tom Albinson, good player.
Well, you're a big fan, aren't you?
Big fan. I like him.
So I think they're not so much. I think he's got people that have got potential that he
not
can
all
bring
of them
out.
But a few of them are.
Yeah, I think they're moving away from that a little bit now.
Are they?
It's interesting that even before, as you said earlier, before they failed in the £1 million game. This story had been going around for a long time.
Jimmy says McDermott has got the personality of a brick. I would say, Jimmy, you do not know Brian McDermott. I'm not a mate. I'm no far from it, but I have spoken to him away from rugby, and I think he looks at a journalist as a challenge. And if you're prepared to meet him, challenge him. He will let you challenge him, and he'll challenge you back. And I don't. That's what I don't. We don't see the real Brian McDermott on the telly. The Sky interviews. I cringe myself looking at him, and he must look back. I don't know if this is a persona he puts on. That isn't the Brian McDermott that I see.
No, I think if you walk into a press conference and ask him how he thinks it went, you'll get a terse reply. There's a similarity with Wayne Bennett in terms of their approach to the media, and Wayne is taciturn at best. But we went to Bradford to hear him speak to raise money on behalf of the junior development of the Bulls, which was really good of him before the first test. And he did an hour, and he made it quite clear that if it had been journalists asking him questions, he probably would have given the short answers. But because it was a room full of people that had paid to listen to him, and that all the money was going to a really good cause, he opened up a lot about himself. And what I would say is you can read a lot of that in a magazine that's out later this week, and it is fascinating. But you suddenly realise when you listen to him for an hour, talking not so much about rugby league but about philosophies of life, why people want to play for him, why players, every single one of those England players has come out and said, he inspires me, he makes me the best I can be. There's a lot of that in Brian McDermott as well, that even though he clearly had run-ins with Kevin Sinfield towards the end of Kevin's career, Kevin still ranks him as the best coach he ever played under. And I think what you find is that if you find a way of getting to hear what they've got to say, I think the other thing Brian McDermott's developing at the moment is a bit like Jamie Peacock's, going out to corporate and talking about leadership. He did his first one at Asheville College last Friday, and he's going to do a few of those. I think if you go and listen to him talking about leadership and how you get the best out of people, he is absolutely fascinating. So don't judge him on the way he treats Tanya Arnold.
Should ask our Toronto-based listeners, because the third biggest largest country that listens to this programme, that's the wrong way of putting it, the most listeners, third most listeners that listen to this programme or download our podcast are from Canada, believe it or not. I wonder what they make of it. I wonder what they, do Torontonians like a coach like Brian McDermott.
What they should be is excited that they have got the coach that's won the most Super League titles. They shouldn't worry about anything else at the moment.
And this is what the Torontonians need to learn, because he has his own ways of thinking and managing. On a scale of 2 to 9, how successful will he be as coach?
You've been waiting all year for that, haven't you?
It's my
ever since he got sacked.
I get a bit of an in-joke there. I think you need to explain that.
As it was Pete Smith, wasn't he, who asked him once, I can't remember who they played, Salford or someone, a few years ago, on a scale of 1 to 10 how happy he was or something, and he says on a scale, well, I can't be 1 because that's really depressed, or 10 because that's ecstatic, so it's more like 2 to 9. That's Brian McDermott. That's what you're getting in Toronto. How successful will he be?
Well, Nicholas said he's going to have to meet the public and the press to build up the fan base. He said we're not corporate sellouts just yet, so we'll see how that one goes. I think he'll do well. I think he could be the perfect man. And the thing is, I don't think he's not going to take any crap, is it?
No.
So
I'll take no rubbish, and I would imagine, as I say, with the Toronto, whether it was the philosophy of Paul Rowley, the indiscipline, because at times they were awful, weren't they, from a discipline point of view. So, one thing for sure, if the players who are a little bit indisciplined and they don't want to change, I'm afraid to say they won't be playing for the Wolfpack very long under McDermott. What
I think it is, it's the ability to get teams to win the big matches. I think Paul Rowley was great throughout the year, but all of the big matches that they seemed to play, that's when the discipline issues came in. I think Brian McDermott's almost the reverse of that.
Yeah.
When you get to the big games, he has motivated teams to achieve things that you didn't think they would, come up with a game plan that was slightly different to the one that you thought they might be playing. And you look at all of the finals that Leeds played in, there was something slightly different that he brought to the table that, yes, absolutely, he had the playing staff and he had the people in the dressing room that were winners, but your coach as well gave you that little bit extra that you needed to go out and do the job.
Is he staying, Noble? Is he staying?
Yeah.
I mean, it does sound that the good news for him is teams in Toronto generally are rubbish in terms of winning championships.
Toronto won MLS, didn't they, not so long ago?
Yeah, but that's football. No one cares about football, do they? When did the last time Toronto Maple Leafs win anything? Years and years and years ago. Because they're not as good as the Montreal Canadiens. And the Blue Jays, they don't win anything. So it'll be all right. They've been rubbish recently, according to Wikipedia. So all our Canadian listeners, they'll all let us know. But it's going to be an interesting
time.
Get
excited.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Martin asks, Phil, is 4020 available in digital form anywhere?
Yes.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
I didn't know this.
Yes. Go for Exact Edition so you can get a digital version.
What is it?
Exact Editions.
Right.
If you subscribe to the paper edition, you get digital one free.
Oh, there you go, Martin. So I'm sure Rich will send you a link or something to do what you need to do with that.
1966 last time anyone from Toronto won anything. Well, like Leeds haven't won anything for donk's years, and then they, I know Brian McDermott was in charge the first year they won everything, but then they won everything.
Hey, Rich, hold on. When was the last time Wakefield won all?
1992 Yorkshire Cup.
Yeah,
currently
robbed
under duress at Huddersfield, who don't deserve it.
Robbed.
Yeah, so that's 26 years, and you don't even look like winning anything.
Canning United.
Don't be able to go at Leeds. Don't be able to go at Leeds.
Are you not the current holders of the Wetherby Whaler Challenge?
I mean, as I've said before, the Yorkshire Cup.
You got 26 really quickly then.
He's massive improved, hasn't he?
That was really good.
Yeah.
I can't count up to 30.
No, but that was quick. You didn't get your fingers out, your toes, anything.
No,
I did.
I don't know who the Toronto Marlies are. I don't know what sport they play.
So it's 26 years since you won anything or been anywhere near.
But the Argonauts did win the CFL last year, so it was good. I saw the final. It had what's her name? Famous Canadian singer woman, Shania Twain, doing the pre-match. It was very good. We can't even get anyone anyone's heard of.
Have we got any?
Are you on drugs today?
Yeah, he is.
Are you on
Is
drugs?
she Canadian? Mariah Carey, or whatever her name is.
Maria Carey.
Maria Carey. Is she
I
Canadian?
don't know.
No, well, I did enjoy the letter in the paper.
Michael
saying-
Bublé is.
Michael Bublé.
Don't like
get
him.
Get him for the third test next year at Elland Road. Knights with.
Hey,
Well, if Toronto are in the grand final,
we're talking about this
he
with
can
me.
do the pre-match.
I tell you what, when we're talking about this with me and Mal, I should be in Australia now. Get me in that jungle, me and Mal. Get us both in that jungle.
With a machete.
A British lion ripping a kangaroo apart. Eh?
Danny Parkinson got so sick of trying to get you in the jungle. He's gone off to Bahrain to run away from you, Scott.
Yeah.
Any transfer speculation this week? Because we're not bad. I mean,
No,
We
no,
are
it's not
good. We are good.
and most of it is informed.
Yeah.
Even if
we
it
don't
doesn't
just
all
make
happen.
it up, you know. We don't
I
just
mean,
make it
Ryan
up.
Brown
No, there are
fell
people who do,
apart, but that's we can't.
Mitch Garbutt told Carr, though, on the other hand.
With
Your mate, Phil.
Sebastian Ikehihifo coming to Leeds.
Who?
Oh, we had earlier.
Big
by the
Seb.
way.
What, from Huddersfield? Is he?
What's his name?
Word on the street.
Fellow with the hair at Huddersfield. Mamo. Might be going to Warrington apparently.
All right, okay.
That's, someone on Twitter said that. So.
Oh, it must be true.
Well,
Yeah,
all right then. I do understand that Icky, who didn't have as good a season last year as he did the year before, had been made available. So that would make sense. But why are they getting rid of Garbutt, Phil?
Well, they might need a quota spot.
For Martin
Well,
Tappan.
why are they getting rid of him?
They might need somebody younger. I think they should.
Phil,
I like him.
Yeah,
I would stick with him.
Phil,
If
for the
he's
last 2
fit-
years, you've been you've been one of his biggest fans.
I am surprised he would be going.
So why are we letting him go? He's a quality player.
Because
You've been saying all this year with Mr. Big Men,
because
Garbutt's
if
been the
they
biggest.
were
in
to
it.
be after a Trent Merrin, they might need that.
Well, he's
quota
not coming
spot.
now, is he?
Well, don't rule it out yet.
Well, it's been said he's staying at Penrith.
By who?
Well, it's in the League Express today.
Who's
Oh, it
that?
must
Who's
be
that?
true.
Sorry.
Trent Mirren,
Must be true then.
Okay.
staying at Penrith.
If he could negotiate a release from Penrith, he might still be available.
Vinci says Anthony Gelling might be available. Not coming to witness.
Is he not?
That's what Vinci says. He knows more than I do. He might be wrong.
Don't think he's been playing prop for Leeds.
Archie said he'd love Icky
Yes.
at Leeds. Don't understand why Huddersfield are getting rid. I mean, and I don't know, but I do know that they were looking to move him on. I think they've got salary cap issues and they're trying to free up some money. They will have clearly freed up quite a bit by getting rid of Danny Brough. They're going to, you know...
They
they're
brought
wiggling around.
not you time though. He won't come cheap, will he? Not winger.
No, maybe not.
He won't come cheap, mate. That's for
No,
sure.
maybe not.
Well, maybe that's why they've got to get rid of somebody else.
Steve is laughing, says lock us to Leeds. Look, that was nearly happened. That
I
nearly
think you'll
happened.
find that Wigan acknowledged that
Yeah.
they had to go back and make him another offer.
I bet his agent was happy that we said that on air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were on 10% of the 10%.
At no
Don't worry
point
about
was that ever denied by either club.
Jules says Garbutt has been superior to Cuthbertson since the treble. He hasn't played as many games, though, has he?
No, I think that's one of the other issues that I think Garbutt only played 8 times last year, which can be unfortunate.
I mean, I thought Hull Cairn stopped signing Leeds players since their change of management, but
Well,
I think it's a good
well,
signing. for
Jimmy
Hull Cairn.
Kainos is a good signing. I mean,
Yeah.
Mulhern's proved to be a good signing.
Yep.
Mins, prior to his off the field issue, was a good signing. So I think they've done all right.
Maguire's
Maguire's doing the job.
Yeah.
someone said what's going to happen to the rugby league referees after Danny Maguire retires? Because that's obviously one person left off their roster. Shut these people.
Whatever.
Oh, no.
What? That was you who said that.
It wasn't.
That was you. Show me that tweet.
Oh, it was earlier.
Here we go. Here we go. It's all coming out, Rich. It's all coming out.
You know, right, so he's retiring next year. So in 2029, will Danny Maguire be in the Rugby League Hall of Fame?
Well, I asked the question earlier. Is Danny Maguire the best player? Has he been the best player at Leeds in the Super League era? Let's ask 2 Leeds fans.
I think in 2024 will be in the Leeds Hall of Fame.
That wasn't the question I asked.
Yeah, it's
Has he been the most influential, however you want to look at it? If you had to vote for one player from Leeds, only in the Super League era, and I get rugby was there before, Gary, I know that. I'm talking about a specific period in time. Is Maguire, Sinfield, Burrow, where are you going?
Maguire will get my vote.
Would he? Okay.
Yeah.
Phil?
Kevin Sinfield.
It's a draw.
But what I would
Paper,
say,
scissors, rock, lads.
what
One
I
of you's going
would
to be
say
disappointed.
is Rob Burrow is the greatest scrum half Leeds have ever had in their history.
Wow.
Better than Jeff Stevenson?
Yeah.
You sure?
Mm-hmm. Medals, I'll tell you that.
It's not all about medals.
I know you would say that.
That means he was
You would say
crap.
that.
That means I'm rubbish. I should never played first team football.
No. I think pound for pound.
Well, all right. Well, I'll
pound for pound, Rob Burrows
right,
has
well,
been the best number 7 leads I've ever
Right, well, I'll tell you this then. I'm going to
Not
contradict
many of
that
them
straight
pounds,
away
are
now because Alex Murphy,
Mm.
who allegedly is the greatest player we've ever produced, right? Alex
Certainly
Murphy says Jeff Stevenson is the best scrum half I've ever played with. So how can
But he didn't play with Rob Burrow. Alex didn't play with Rob.
Play
So he wouldn't be able to make that
you're talking about
comparison.
playing against him as well.
Well, he
The
wouldn't be
best
able to
player
make
he's
that
ever.
comparison.
The
Yeah,
best
we haven't
player.
played against him. How can you
I think Rob Burrow, for what he has achieved over
I'm not
such a...
saying Rob's been a brilliant player.
And the individual awards he's
Been a
won as well as the
brilliant
team awards. I think he is the best number 7 leads I've ever had.
All right.
But I would give Super League most influential player to Kevin Sinfield. I think the fact that he's in the record books, having broken records when I was growing up, you'd think nobody would ever get near.
Okay.
Sets him
What
apart.
about the Wakey one, Rich? That's an interesting one.
Depends what you want, isn't it? You're looking for the most talented player?
Well,
or
who's had the biggest
influential-
impact? Who's had the biggest
consistent.
impact on your
Probably
club?
the most influential player then, because that you're talking on and off the field, would have to be Dimitri, because of his leadership in times which no club usually goes through.
What about Kermond?
And Kerman will be the next one I'd say, because well done to the RFL for giving him a 3-month testimonial. We know that you usually give them out by confetti, but he had to jump through hoops to get his, from what I understand, to make sure he had played the requisite number of games. For a player who's had I can't say he's done anything necessarily bad in his career, has he? On the field, off the field, but had to scramble around to find the requisite number of games to be given a testimony. It's like Scoey, his 50th cap we're still looking for. But the club had to work hard to get him that testimony from the RFL, as we've seen in the past. People with very colourful pasts, checkered pasts, have been given testimonials. I find it
Well,
offensive.
Steve and Andy have both gone. They've nominated Kermond. They think Danny Kermond. I mean, you mentioned right, and I've been lucky enough to be in Danny's company quite a lot of times.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
And he said, there were offers coming in when Wakey were going under. He were getting offers left, right, and centre, and he stayed at the club for less money than he could have got elsewhere because he didn't be probably like you didn't want to be. He didn't want to walk away from his own club. That was his club, and if it were going to sink, then he were going to sink with it basically. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. I really do.
And I'm not a massive person who puts a lot on loyalty, because I can completely understand why in a short career you want to get as much money as possible, but I think he made the right choice in not leaving to go to the club who was
that's but at the end of he doesn't know that, does he? He's got a decision to make.
I would definitely say Kerman, Dimitri as the most influential people in that club in that time. Certainly so.
Ian wants to know what a testimonial is. I think he's a new rugby league fan. He wants to know what the concept is.
It used to be 10 years, didn't it?
You do 10 years service, you get one
at one club.
One club.
In one stint, not bugger off to another club and come back as a player has done in the past. And I believe it's now, is it 300 games?
300 games, yeah.
300 games or 10 years.
Okay. So once you've achieved that, Ian, then you can basically hold some fundraising events that...
Well, you have to apply to the RFL who have to grant you the testimony.
If you look at the actual things, again, I can't think of the word, to get their testimony requirements... Criteria, thank you. It includes things like good off-field character. And there are players who've been given testimonials in the very recent past who do not fit that criteria at all.
Yeah, fair enough. Roy said Gaz Ellis at Hull FC. That'd be short and sweet, but I guess he went there. They won the cup at Wembley and maybe turned the club around a bit.
Everywhere Gareth Ellis has been, he has been head and shoulders.
There is a Rugby League Hall of Fame.
Somebody's saying Gaz Ellis is the best Hull player.
Yeah.
It's a big call, that,
isn't it? It is, isn't it? For what? How many years? 3 years?
4 years, 4 years maybe?
But won the cup twice at Wembley.
That's what I mean.
He would be
the Holy
my
Grail
player of the modern era who goes into the Hall of Fame. Not just because of what he did over here, but the fact he's in such high regard over there. And I think that's going to be important in this era.
Yeah. I think internationally he was outstanding.
Paul Schoolthorpe's up there as well.
Yeah.
If anybody was going to ask me who's the best player in the Super League era from '96 to the present day, Paul Schoolthorpe is.
Well, that's the thing, is who would you see alongside yourself?
And the Aussies totally.
Even when he was playing at standoff.
Phil, you like Rodney on Only Fools and Horses? You don't have to ask some silly questions. Sculthorpe's been easily the best Super League player. He is. In the era.
Interesting.
In the modern era.
There's been some good ones when you actually
Fowl,
look back. When you look back, there's been
Cunningham.
some great ones.
I say Maguire's up there, obviously. Sinfield, James Laws. How do you get from rower? Where do you get from rower?
Still no props in the Hall of Fame, are there? We mentioned this
they're
before.
only donkeys. They're only donkeys. I hope you're not listening, Jim. I hope you've gone. I hope you're watching Coronation Street, Jim. But no, why should any donkeys be in
That's
the
2
Hall of
rounds
Fame?
you're buying now.
Huh?
That's 2 rounds you're buying.
One of them will be in the car park.
Glenn's asked, is there an actual physical RFL Hall of Fame? There used to be.
There is
But is it going to be when the museum's built? Or is that...
there's some pull-up banners.
I've seen them, yeah. We had a photo of me and Scully with Neil Fox. It was great. So the best thing about going last week is you can just get Scully to ask people to do things. I'm not a very confident person, despite what we act out on this programme. So I just get Scully to say, get Neil Fox to have a photo with us.
Tell you what, when you look at Foxy, he doesn't look any different when he played. Honestly, he just looks sensational.
What the hell happened to you then? Hey, what the hell's happened to you?
Neil Fox had to do a proper job.
For Leeds for 9 years.
What
Was that driven you to drink, has it?
One of the tweets over the weekend was Todd Greenberg, who's been here for the he had his picture taken with Neil Fox and wrote something really complimentary about what an honour it was to
Not on
be
the
in
statue, of course.
Let it go, Rich. God's sake.
It's
What is up with him?
It's not on the statue, is it, at Wembley?
Oh well, that's pathetic, isn't it? Why Neil Fox is not on the statue?
Why don't you knock one up?
Yeah,
Get one knocked up, we'll go weld it on.
We'll get a cardboard cutout next time we
and
do
also,
the
and another thing we were talking about me and Fox, because we were sat next to each other, me and Fox, and we were discussing when the Hall of Fame came out in 1988. They couldn't put him in at the same time because he hadn't been retired 10 years. Bloody hellfire! So he had to wear another. How pathetic was that? One of the best players that's ever. His points record will never, ever get beaten. And the stupid law had to be waiting 10 years. I've got to wait.
Are we having a Hall
12
of Fame dinner next year?
You can imagine Neil Fox thinking, when's it going to finish so I can get away from it?
Andy Sinclair says, what about Morley?
Adrian's up there, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Front rower.
Got a golden cap.
Adrian's up there again, not much international level, respected by the Aussies from there. So yeah, Adrian's up there, there's no two ways about it.
We need to get our viewers, because we know they're passionate about SCOE, to set up a petition to recognise Great Britain versus the rest of the world in 1998 at Headingley as an official test match. So
it wasn't. It was an international. They call them internationals now, and that game, Great Britain beat the rest of the world at Headingley 1987.
This is last Wednesday.
Was classed as an international because I've missed out by so-called one international. By not picking up a golden cap.
If that had been counted, though, would you then be the record cap?
No, he would have had a golden cap.
I would have had a golden cap, but
but 46. You've got 46
and 3 caps.
Jim Sullivan's got 53.
54, I think. Mick Sullivan, by all accounts, me and Mick Sullivan have the identical caps. 46 for Great Britain.
Yeah, but if that game was counted, then would you be Great Britain's record cap?
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe it's better that you don't. Then.
Oh no, I'm not bothered about that. But what I'm saying is, they call them
a silver cap.
No, they call them internationals now, don't they? So the combined Great Britain and England. So me and Mick Sullivan, until I found out when Phil told me, we have always had 46 caps and 3 England caps. All of a sudden, they found Mick another one. They found Mick played against a combined France team or whatever. Played in 1956. So I heard about this. I made some inquiries. Well, hold on. You call them internationals now. The international. It wasn't a test match, but it was an international. Great Britain v the rest of the world at Headingley under the international rules. And everything, and they
wasn't unlimited substitution.
No. There were only 2 subs. They brought a good team over, so that should be classed as an international. But no. Well, I guess it's classed as a friendly. What a load of tosh!
Petition the
what a load of tosh! Yeah, so I've missed out on that as well. So can't got medals. I can't get the golden caps now. Can't get home. Can't get home.
Every single person in sports on Wednesday.
Have some cheese.
He was lobbying everybody at the dinner. Weren't you? Nigel Woody's texted on the table.
I text all the big wigs. Hold on, Mick Sullivan. He's got 49. 3 England caps for Great Britain. Oh no, we found another one in 56. Hold on, you all of a sudden after all you've realised that I might have played another game in 1956.
I was waiting for Dave Woods to say it. It's a special surprise. There's one more, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's a normal wisdom cap. Shut up, Scully, have that.
We haven't got a video package for him because we haven't got one. But here he is. Guys, Scofield.
What I must say, what was really respectful at that dinner, and it was beautifully compact.
Yeah, love the history of the game.
Hold on. Sorry, you can come back in here. Paul Burns Williamson says, what about the golden dressing gown?
I think he should have the golden sock that goes in the golden boot.
I tell you what, mate, if you go to Chinese, just on Blind Run at 9:15, you'll see me collecting the dressing gown.
Hopefully the wind's blowing that way and not that
with
way.
me flip flops on and also, if you're buying, it's a special kitty with chips.
That's what it is.
Sorry, go on.
Just put me off my chance. What was nice was when they inducted the 3 new members, they had the 4 of you on stage at armchairs. I thought that was a really nice. That you were being inducted into something, that you were being welcomed by the people that were already in it. I thought that was lovely.
Oh, I have to say, I love the history of the game, and we should have more of it, you know. And I said to Martin Sadler after as well. I said, you know what we should do, because the Cumbrians don't see us. They should have the next dinner up in Cumbria. It would be a 500 sellout, because they absolutely love the quality plays. They love the history of the game, and if you took it up to Cumbria, you would sell out there easy with 500 people, because they don't get to see us anymore. Don't get it.
I know there's obviously lots of things going on Sunday, but at half time, why didn't you come out and wave to the crowd, the Hall of Famers, the new ones? Why not?
Fair point.
I agree.
Yeah,
Jill said, what about a golden kebab? That'll do.
That's a chili sauce. Lovely. Hey, it's a great suggestion.
Easily bought.
Yeah.
Wigan
he don't want a boot. He wants
Wigan
food
couldn't get
now.
him for 75 grand extra on his contract, but for a kebab, he'll do anything now. Yeah. Fair enough. You'd have struggled in the jungle. No kebab. There's no kebabs there, you know.
Bugs.
I'd say
Are you alright with snakes?
I've been trying to get in that jungle for the last 8 years. You know, I want to get in that jungle. Don't worry about that. I'll make Rugby League have a presence in that celebrity jungle. Don't worry about that. I want to get in there.
I would cringe if you were in there. I would honestly, and I'm not on about the animals either.
Why?
I'd be just frightened of what you were going to say next.
Because you know,
Because you're eating kangaroo
do you know what my philosophy would be? Because you're in there for 2 weeks before you start getting voted out. My philosophy would be, for the first 3 or 4 days, I'd be patient, and I'd just work everybody out on this sort. I'd be patient.
Vision awareness.
Yeah. I work out the character, this sort of thing. Then after the 4th day, the ones who were really the pain in the asses, I will really rip in. It would be good viewing, honestly. It would be good viewing.
Well, we'll be able to judge you that.
So, if there's any agent out there, please get me on that. I'm a celebrity. There's 30% for you. There's 30% for you. Get me on.
Steve Bradshaw said it was good evening on Wednesday. It was great to see you there, Scully.
We met a couple of Salford fans.
Oh, the Salford fans. Did you remember the names?
No, I was going
the 2 Salford guys from there. we had a great laugh with the boys as well, and they were telling us they've got the best half-backs in Super League. They're going to finish 6th. And I said, so you're going to finish 6th? I said, you're at Elland Road, you're not in Fantasy Island, you know what I mean? And we had a good crack with them. They loved the show, and
Steve Alan, I think, might have been
for their open honesty, and they were telling me, you know, Hastings, he goes in the local working men's clubs and likes a pint, and he mixes with everybody. He's a great character. But the 2 Salford fans were very optimistic that Salford are going to finish in the top 6 this year.
Well, they have re-signed Jansen Turgott today, so that could be the missing link.
Andy says, new TV show, The Only Way is Scoey. Oh God!
I'd like to see him on Gogglebox.
Well, have you watched Shameless, Andy? It's a bit like that.
I'd like to see him on Gogglebox.
Gogglebox? That's rubbish. I want to get in that jungle. Tell you, if there's any agent out there, there's 30% for you.
What about Dancing on Ice? Ellery did that. You get on that?
I can hardly dance when I go on the dance floor. I tell you
Pointless
what, when I dance on ice, I dance to Rick Astley, like a bit of Rick Astley. You know what I mean? Never going to give you up.
Pointless.
When I'm laying on my hammock in Australia, I can sing Rick Astley, that sort of thing, can't I?
Get a record deal.
Bit of Mick Hucknall, bit of George Michael.
Mick Hucknall.
I'm thinking now, I can remember now why I haven't missed the last 2 weeks. It's actually been quite relaxing.
I might not be here next week.
Rich, I think you need 2 weeks off, mate.
I do.
I tell you what, you know what, fellas,
Doctor said that.
You know what, me in the jungle, lying on the hammock with my vest ripped in my speedos. What more would you want?
Rick, the only thing that'd be Rick would be your speedo.
Oh, you bet.
That'd be even
That
worse.
would be
That's
sensational
be
viewing.
taken out of the whole.
Sensational viewing.
You know, when we saw the number on your T-shirt, it'd be that tight across your chest, you wouldn't be able to make the numbers out.
That's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Andy's just coming up with all the reality shows now. I think you're only watching the Big Brother house because it's been taken off air. Just in there on
Yeah, we're just boarding up the windows. Hello, you're in.
It's Belial.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're back in Belial's going.
No, there's no one in, mate. Lock it up.
Glenn wonders if we should have an all-star game. Hashtag we play too many games. But it would be a good thing to have in the middle of somewhere. But I don't know where.
Paul
Well,
Burns-Williams on fire tonight. He said after your Mick Hucknall reference, he says Scoey's too tight to mention. He knows you well, doesn't he? He knows you well.
Where's he from?
He can't be Cass fan, he's Paul.
Cass.
We'll mock you up as Mick Hucknall.
Yeah. There you go.
Good bit of music. Good
Whoever, I don't know whoever's doing our Facebook. It must be someone, but I don't know who it is. Says you'll be on Naked Attraction.
Oh, we've seen it. We've seen it.
I've seen it. It's shocking.
No,
No, you.
Yeah, we've seen you. It's shocking.
It'd get decommissioned within a minute. Just someone would just pull the plug out.
Hey, listen, I can breathe in for 2 minutes.
Ultra HD. So
I can breathe, you know, these 32s, and they are nipping a little bit, but I can breathe in for 2 minutes.
What, 32 feet?
Celebrity Naked Attraction. From Gary Scott.
Oh, where this show?
No.
You see all this positivity
people who
just
said
killed it.
We need more rugby to talk about.
This is like, do you know what? At the moment, this is like Gogglebox, isn't it?
It's all those people who want us to tweet Channel 4 to get more rugby league on TV.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what you've
Commission this.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is like Gogglebox.
Yeah.
But no, I'm serious. I want to go in the jungle. Simple as that.
We're serious. We want you to go in the jungle.
Yeah. Somewhere in Borneo would be quite good. Or Papua New Guinea or something. Don't reply to that. Don't reply. No, come on. We our friends in Papua New Guinea. Big listeners of the show now.
I found the World Cup. It's in Manchester.
Alright,
I
lovely.
don't know what it's doing. I think
What's
it's
he doing in the boot of that car? Going the wrong way up the M62. What's happening?
Someone asked why was it the RFL people handing out the medals yesterday and not the head of the Rugby League International Federation or whatever his job is?
Is it the same person?
It's just another
Anyway,
episode of Brian
it
Bowles.
was somebody who works for the International Federation that told us about the not quite full Yorkshire Cup.
Yeah, it was.
You know,
Seemed to have a very good insight into what was going on at the
Are you excited
RFL. What,
about the Nearly Yorkshire Cup?
The Nearly Yorkshire Cup that you only get, it's like a Masonic handshake. You can enter it. Yeah.
But what about the?
Do you think fans will buy into it? Because it isn't the Yorkshire Cup.
No,
It's every
it should all
team.
be in. I see the merit in it.
Yeah,
Shorten the season and put it in.
If it's not meaningful, nobody's not going to buy into it. Are they?
I mean, and I get the fact that it isn't for Super League clubs. It still is meaningful if it's for every Yorkshire
What
club.
about, instead of having the old, and I know the format shield, the old Championship shield as it was, if you then said at the end of the year, we'll have the Yorkshire Cup, so it's winner stays on type thing, a bit like the playoffs.
What about the 1895 Cup?
The 1895 Cup. Well, you've been a big proponent of this for forever. Are we going to pay more to use Wembley than for the next couple of hours?
What's the 1895 Cup? What's that?
It's like the Northern Rail Cup. It's called 1895 because we haven't got a sponsor for it. And it's going to be a double header at Wembley. Yeah, it's going to be Championship and League One clubs.
4 teams from League One, apparently. Not all of them.
Oh, not all of them.
So not like our favourite team, Coventry. They're not in. They've been binned off. They're not allowed in this cup.
But a double header at Wembley.
Yeah. What have I missed this? What is this?
Yeah. It's in the paper today.
Is it?
Where's the paper?
I need to have a look at this. But sadly, we ain't got any more time on the show.
What about the programmes, Phil? Rich, are you going to tell them about the programmes again, signed?
We'll give them away next week.
Because I've not given away the ones from a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago.
we're getting a lot of stuff. Sadly, what we're finding is the stuff you've signed we can't really give away because no one wants it. So we try to find one without your signature on, really.
Anyway.
Talking of testimonials, as
Yes,
we were
look at
earlier,
this,
look at this. The Gary Schofield testimony in a Huddersfield shirt playing against Leeds.
That's a shocking. Look at that ear there. It looks like I've got a massive ear. Cauliflower look oil there. Look, it's a shocker, isn't
Must
it?
be my Photoshop skills there.
Everybody put out the first team players by the look of it.
Phil Hassan, future Wakefield
Oh,
legend.
I'll sign it. And by the way, Kangaroos, Mal, the cheese will be waiting for you. We're waiting for you 2020, whether it's down under or the Northern Hemisphere.
Just think, Scoey, right? You've got 18 months to get ripped, and you can take him on. Take him on.
Loose forward.
Loose women, more like. Right, that is us done.
Before he says anything.
Yeah, quickly turn it off. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for getting in touch. How positive can this show get? Absolutely brilliant.
Not a negative word.
Really enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week. This show never goes off air. Well, actually, we'll see you next week. Download the podcast.
Oh yeah, get the podcast.